made them feel uncomfortable.
And Cuomo said he will respect the independent investigation by the state attorney general. On Wall Street, the Dow up 30 points. The Nasdaq saw its biggest increase in almost a year, up 464 points. The S&P plus 54 points. America is listening to Fox News.
If you're using anything other than Indeed for your hiring, you are wasting your time. Hire great people faster with Indeed. Only pay for results and get back time in your schedule. Indeed.com helps you find quality candidates instantly with Indeed Instant Match. Indeed searches through the millions of resumes in their database to help show you great candidates instantly. Get started right now with a free $75 credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Fox. Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through March 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott traveled to the border city of Mission to get a first-hand look at the surge of migrants crossing the border.
This crisis is a result of President Biden's open border policies. It invites illegal immigration and is creating a humanitarian crisis in Texas right now that will grow increasingly worse by the day.
Abbott says more than 800 criminals have been arrested, including sex offenders and gang members. A large manufacturer of beauty products is updating its packaging after talking with its customers.
Unilever, maker of Dove and Tresemme, says it will exclude the word normal from its beauty products. It will also stop digital alterations of body shapes and skin colors of models in advertising to be more inclusive. The company says globally more than 100 brands have the word normal, which will be replaced by moisture replenish and other words. Unilever's own poll of 10,000 people globally showed that more than half felt using normal to describe hair or skin made people feel excluded. 70% said using it in advertising had a negative impact. Ginny Cosola, Fox News.
A long-awaited report commissioned by the University of Texas has found the school's song called The Eyes of Texas has no racist intent, but the school president said athletes and band members will not be required to sing or participate when the song is played at games or other school events. The report was commissioned.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Our planet is but a giant petri dish swirling with pathogens, all mixed by the filthy stirring straw that is the world's fauna. Simply by sitting on her eggs and breathing, this duck unleashes a torrent of avian botulism, cholera, and duck plague into the air. These jousting elk slough off bits of skin and fur, sending millions of harmful bacteria into the air. Our closest relative, the chimpanzee, is itself the fountainhead of AIDS. Bitter at the ascendancy of man, these scheming apes brood this deadly virus in their jungle lairs. Nowhere on Earth is safe from the threat of animals. Even in the bitter wasteland of the Antarctic, penguins walk for miles inland, ensuring their afflictions reach every corner of the globe.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. The only show on national radio that you can take control of. Talk about whatever you want. 603-283-6160 is the caller line. That's 603-283-6160. With you tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian.
And Conan.
And man, New Hampshire has been interesting the last few days with a number of people, 3 people specifically, arrested in Manchester. And by far my favorite part of this is following the story as it unfolds on Facebook from the Manchester Police Department.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're just getting dragged by random commenters about how stupid this whole thing really is.
Well, that's interesting because this whole thing is people are putting up stickers all over the world. It's the White Rose that we've talked about several times now in the last several months here on Free Talk Live. And it's interesting that here in New Hampshire, from what I understand, having asked one of the White Rose admins, has anyone else been arrested for stickering anywhere else on the planet? And no, it's only New Hampshire. Now,
fascinating.
From what I understand, at least 2 of the men involved did allegedly take photographs with themselves and the stickers after they were put up. So that doesn't necessarily prove who put them up. But because they were photographed with the stickers, Manchester police were looking for them, and ultimately 2 of the 3 turned themselves in.
Because there was a warrant out for them. There
was a warrant out for their arrest, and the third man, who's actually a selectman candidate who we interviewed this weekend on Saturday night, Jason Gerhard, he's a selectman candidate not in Manchester but in a small town north of Concord. He was actually arrested later, and I don't know what all the circumstances were around his arrest, but he was not. You said they were arrested in Manchester. I believe he was not arrested in Manchester. He was arrested by other police elsewhere. The first 2, the guys with the 2 beards, the 2 big beards. If you've seen the story, you can go to Freekeen, or haven't seen the story, go to freekeen.com. Their photos are there, but massive beards. They were the ones that turned themselves in Manchester.
And you're right. They were arrested essentially for they turned themselves in essentially for putting up stickers.
Well, they turned themselves in for the warrant. That doesn't mean that they're admitting guilt, I don't think, in this particular case. But they are being accused of putting up stickers apparently all over City Hall in Manchester. And they're being charged with criminal mischief.
Is it true that allegedly these men asked police nearby if it was okay for them to put stickers up, and they have video of this, and the police saying, yeah, that's fine?
I don't know. That's an interesting detail.
I have heard that, but I have not had the chance yet to actually look into it.
Yeah, I have not reviewed whatever video might be involved in this particular case, but they are facing Class B misdemeanor charges, which means they will not be afforded a jury in this case.
They can't request a jury?
You cannot get a jury on a Class B misdemeanor in New Hampshire. You have to have a Class A or felony charge in order to get a jury.
Despite all of the signs and stickers and business advertisements that people plaster all over the place, despite all of that, I don't believe that is there any public property that it's legal to hang stickers on. People do it.
Yeah, probably not. If you remember back to 2011, it was actually almost a decade ago. It was June of 2011 where 8 mostly Keene-based activists were arrested in Manchester at Manchester's police gang headquarters for chalking outside of the police gang headquarters in Manchester. So
now, I knew there were some issues with chalking in Keene. No one ever got arrested.
There were never any arrests for that in Keene.
But you were arrested in Manchester?
I was not. I was not there for that particular event.
I just assumed you would be.
But 8 people, mostly from Keene, were arrested at that particular event for chalking outside of the Manchester Police Department, which, of course, is even less damaging than putting up a sticker.
The next rainstorm, it's gone.
Right. Rain will wash it away. And yet they were also charged with things like criminal mischief. And in that case, they were charged with some were charged with resisting arrest because they were actually arrested as they were doing the chalking, whereas the stickering people were arrested later, presuming it was them who did the stickering.
So I assume these charges were thrown out.
No.
Really?
The people in Manchester were convicted. Some charges were beaten at court, but not all of them. So I believe everyone was found guilty of something at the Manchester Police Department.
Now, is this?
It's been a decade, but
Sure.
looking at the stories recently, just researching a little bit because it's very similar to what happened with the stickering. So I went back and I looked at some of the stories. Sorry.
And were these? Do you know the content of the stickers? Were these the White Rose Society stickers?
Yes, these were allegedly the White Rose stickers. I don't see why they would be anything but that. So I'm pretty sure they were. White Rose, for our listeners that don't know, of course, was the German organization back in the
Early
World War II
40s.
I say German. It wasn't the government. It was people in Germany, people who wanted to do counter propaganda against the Nazi government propaganda, and they were, of course, some of them were caught, and the original founders were executed.
Guillotine.
Was it the guillotine?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And they had after 4 days, the 4 days after their arrest.
Wow.
Now, I had always thought that when you brought it up last week, I had vague memories of this group, and I always thought they were communists. But I'm not sure.
The White Rose?
But I'm not sure that they were. I don't think that's true because I don't know the content of what they were actually distributing, the leaflets.
Yeah, I haven't looked. I did watch the movie years ago. There was a pretty good movie made about it, but it's been many years since I've seen that. So.
But how coincidental that the founders or the top, that some of the top leaders of this group were actually executed because they were spreading propaganda that the organization in control didn't care for.
Nope, sure didn't.
And how similar is it that you have three individuals, just guys, who are distributing this anti-mask, anti-COVID, calling it out for what it is, a bunch of nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, stickers all over the place. There's all kinds of
but let's not get carried away and compare the
that's
three of them to, the people who were beheaded by the Nazis.
Well, they haven't gone the trial yet. Who knows? Who knows how far they'll take this? But I mean, no other stickies are being prosecuted like this, like these guys are. They're in the newspaper. There's a warrant out for these guys' arrest, and
most people aren't silly enough to take pictures of themselves before and after doing it.
Did they actually take pictures of them? Because the article says that the cops put together footage from security cameras, and that's how they were able to track these guys down.
Oh, interesting. That wouldn't surprise me if security cameras were involved. I heard a rumor about the photographs, but I have not seen them myself.
But even if they did have selfies of them with these stickers,
not proof.
I mean, am I not allowed to spread propaganda like this? Anti-COVID propaganda?
Well, I mean,
it's free speech, right?
It is free speech, and this gets into an area of the tragedy of the commons, where ultimately the government buildings and such are public buildings, quote unquote.
Well, that's what they say.
That's what they say, and then there's what they do, which is put people in prison cells for putting up stickers or chalking on these government buildings. So there's the reality, and then there's the fantasy. The fantasy is that this is public property and you have the right to do with it as you please, which is a nice idea, and I don't disagree with it. I support it. But there is a risk that is involved, and that is the risk of potentially going to jail.
Well,
or
some of these stickers were found in a region of New Hampshire where I work.
Yeah, I heard about this.
And they were brought to my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't know anything about this, and I saw what they were, and I'm like, those are great. And so now they're all over my case in my workplace.
So at least two of these three people should likely be familiar with listeners of Free Talk Live. There's Skylar Bennett, who was with us last Wednesday here on the show.
Just by chance.
Yeah. And we know him as Footloose. Evidently, his real name is Frank Staples. I didn't even know his real name until right now. But he was featured for the first time we met him was at Forkfest last year. Where
that's a good point. Yeah, he was there.
We spent an entire episode really talking about his experiences in prison and his, I think it was 11 months of isolation or something like that.
It was amazing. His story was just shocking, what happened to him.
So they're facing criminal mischief charges after posting anti-mask wearing stickers all over Manchester City Hall in early February. According to police, officers were sent to City Hall in Manchester on February the 2nd for a report of stickers stuck on doors, trash cans, traffic light sign poles, and other areas criticizing mask mandates. Now, is the content of these stickers really important here? Because the article spends a lot of time focusing on that. If the mischief is independent of the stickers, then why are they doing that? This is just what they don't want you to hear. This is Free Talk Live.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Everyone's always talking about buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. That's boring as hell. How about earning some Bitcoin? Getting paid with it. That's the way. It is money after all. If you want to earn Bitcoin at your business, AnyPay is the way to do it. Your customers will love it. Everyone in town will talk about your store being the Bitcoin store, and it's just fun. Get our free app and start earning Bitcoin at your business. AnyPayX.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. 603-283-6160. And we mentioned Fork Fest during the last segment, and we're going to be there again this year, June the 28th through July the 4th. It's Fork Fest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. It's the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, but it's decentralized, which means that no one is in charge and there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June the 28th through July the 4th. And there's no better way to celebrate Independence Day than with other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. Check it out at forkfest.party. You can find out what's happening, what vendors there will be there at forkfest.com. But the main site is forkfest.party. You can connect with other Forkfesters there using the unofficial Telegram chat or the Forkfest forum. Check it out. June the 28th through July the 4th, forkfest.party.
And one of the folks who was vending at Forkfest last year is one of the 3, let's call them sticker pimps, as they've apparently claimed for themselves. Skylar came up with that. One of these sticker pimps.
I think the media has gone with sticker bandits.
Have they really?
I think so.
Okay, well, I'm going with sticker pimps. But they Frank was one of the folks who was actually at Forkfest with us. He was doing a vendor table. He had like silver, rounds of ounces of silver for sale.
Yeah, he did the raffle.
He was doing a raffle. Mm-hmm,
for his project. Ooh, what's the name of it?
Absolute Defiance.
Wasn't it then. It was a halfway house.
Oh, he does that too. Yeah, that's the other thing that he does. And so he's been arrested, and so have a couple other guys, including Jason Gerhardt, who is here this weekend, and the other gentleman is Skylar, who's a.k.a. Savage Truth 603, the YouTuber. He was here with us last week. So, we've been very, very close with some of these guys here on the show, and I got to say, I'm excited about this happening, even though it's certainly not good news that this has happened in New Hampshire. It's also interesting that it's happening in New Hampshire because there's no better place for this to happen than here in New Hampshire. What I mean by that is these guys have a network. They've got a backup. They're not just 3 loners who are out there, allegedly stickering in public places. There's more than that. There's a bunch more people, from what I understand, that are doing these stickerings. Like you said, Conan, somebody hit an area in where you work, which is all the way out on the west side of the state.
It's out in the woods.
Yeah. So, I mean, these things are happening. These are happening worldwide thanks to the White Rose Society, which is a Telegram group. You can go to t.me/jointhewhiterose to get involved. But I'm really glad that this is happening here because we know these guys and we can help promote this. We can help get the word out about this. Liberty activists, people who've moved here, whether it's as part of the Free State Project or Shire Society or just moved here because they want more freedom. These are our guys. Whether they're truly principled libertarians or not, I don't care. They're in the right on this issue, and so part of the reason why I came here was to back up the natives. And 2 of the 3 of these guys are, from what I understand, natives of New Hampshire. The third is Jason. He's from Long Island, but he got arrested here 13 years ago. Or 14 years ago now for backing up Ed and Elaine Brown, the tax freedom advocates. So he's certainly been in New Hampshire for a long time, and he loves it here. So, I mean, this is why, we came here because New Hampshire, and I can't speak for everybody, but I came here because New Hampshire is already ostensibly the freest of the states. And the New Hampshire native population, a lot of them are real freedom-loving people, real leave-me-alone types, people that understand those ideas. And these are those guys. And I get the chance to help these guys out and back them up. It's an honor.
Absolutely. So they rattle off a bunch of nonsensical charges that aren't really important that one of these guys, Bennett in particular, has faced in the past, but most of it's just idiocy, like driving on suspended registration and nonsense like that. But they were literally just out there putting up stickers, and now they're facing Class B misdemeanor charges over it.
That's right, yeah, of criminal mischief.
Absolutely insane.
Which means up to $1,000 fine if they are found guilty. Which, of course, if you don't pay the fine, does mean you will go to jail for $150 a day. So even though there's quote-unquote no jail time associated with this penalty, that's how they get around having a jury. Or at least that's how they claim to get around having a jury. I don't know if anyone's ever taken that up to the Supreme Court as, hey, what happened to your right to a jury trial? Apparently you don't get that.
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear that. I thought you could always request a jury trial.
Yeah, not for the little things.
Well, let's go to the phones. We got Brian calling. He is at Float Fest. Brian, you're on Free Talk Live.
Aria, how are you?
I'm good. So what is Float Fest?
Okay, so Float Fest is you guys are broadcast live on every night. Float, the streaming app. So Float Fest got put together about 6 weeks ago. So decentralized, freedom festival, nobody's in charge, no vending fees, sell anything you want on a 150-acre farm right outside of Austin, Texas. Still 2 more days left. If anybody is within a state driving range, seriously get down here. IO is running like the crypto barter system. So there's poker chips that are $5. Any 9-miller or 223 or 45 are all going for dollar equivalencies for barter. I'm giving out junk silver for change or any crypto. So I'm trying to suck the fiat out. And we onboarded about 5 people already today.
I think you said he was sucking the fiat out.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
As in sucking like a vacuum cleaner. That kind of
like
sucking.
A vacuum cleaner, I mean, I got to play supplies for my coffee stuff, right? Those vendors. Actually, I did find a vendor that'll sell me coffee bags for Bitcoin. So
this is a first-year event, Float Fest.
First year.
So what is it like? I mean, how many people are there?
150 acres. Okay, so down to the south, the farthest teepee I can see is probably 10 football fields away. I don't know, a quarter mile.
No, how many people?
How many people are there?
Good God, dude. Can you do something about that wind, like sit in your car or something?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I was in a really fancy RV. Let me go right back in. Maybe, hey, guys, would you say there's 200 to 300 people here? Oh, at least 300. What's your estimate?
Yeah.
Okay,
wow,
they're saying over 3, so I estimate low. So maybe 3 to 4. There was a late-night rave that went in the art gallery till 5 last night, and then I served grilled cheese sandwiches like all night long.
That's even bigger than the first Fork Fest. I mean, we only had a few dozen people there, so congratulations. People really want to get out of the house and get somewhere. Any idea how many people have been driving there versus they flew in?
Oh, so the guy next to me is from Spokane. The guy next to him's from Oregon. The lady behind me is from New Jersey. The guy super fancy Winnie that I'm in are here because their financial advisor told them about it because it's crypto related. So nice. It's a convergence. It's awesome.
Is there power out there, or are people running generators?
It's a new day. I'm running 40-volt lithiums on digital inverters for the coffee shop, and I have a bunch of RGB 3D sacred art. So I'm running silent. Most of the big RV people are being cool about not turning on the big noise thing, but 150 acres, you can go a half mile away if you want. And it's so big you can drive your cars from like camp to camp.
That's cool.
There's pods.
That is cool. Brian, thanks so much for the call. I wish I'd heard about it in advance. I've been looking for something to do.
Really? You would have gone?
Probably.
Oh, wow. I wish I would have told you. They invited us. And I'm like, I don't want to fly anywhere. So
no, I don't blame
I didn't go.
The flying isn't much fun right now. Yeah. But, if the end is worth it.
You could make a road trip of it, though, if you wanted. Maybe next year.
No, I'm never driving that far again. I'm good on that. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
Negotiation isn't just something union leaders and sports agents do. Your entire day is a series of negotiations. If you have young children, you know that. In fact, your kids can teach you a lot about negotiating with grown-ups. According to the world's greatest negotiator, Herb Cohen, author of You Can Negotiate Anything. Herb says that kids understand the process of decision-making within an organization. When one parent says no, they'll ask the other. And Cohen says children persist and persevere. And like smart negotiators of all ages, kids know that no is an opening bargaining position. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160 if you want to take control of the airwaves. Talk about whatever's on your mind. 603-283-6160. And Bitcoin is back above, I think, 55,000.
Yeah.
Last time I looked, I don't remember the exact number right now, but I mean, it's back up, which isn't surprising to anyone sitting inside this room, I don't believe. But, you know, it did go on sale there. It got to about 48,000.
I think it dropped to, didn't it drop to like 42?
It dropped to 43.
It did,
42,
yeah.
43. I know because I was waiting for that to happen.
So if you're new to it, check out Bitcoin.com. It's the best place for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there and click on Get Started at the top of the page. And once you do that, you will find all sorts of useful information, neatly organized by your needs, which means you no longer have an excuse to ignore this important, world-changing information. If you are a knowledgeable crypto user, however, check out news.bitcoin.com for the latest headlines of all the news relevant to you, because Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all of the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website, Bitcoin.com. Let's go to the phones. We've got Lysander calling from Indiana. You're on Free Talk Live.
How you guys doing? I'm doing good.
Hey.
So I was calling to say that I actually this weekend did some White Rose stuff here in my town in Indiana.
Nice.
And it got the police attention. What I actually did is I made my own stickers. They have a picture of a girl with a mask, and it says "complying." And I put them on stop signs. So most of the stop signs in my town say "stop complying."
I love it. This reminds me of something that Taryn Lupo did a long time ago. He printed up a bunch of paying taxes bumper stickers, and he gave them out at the Porcupine Freedom Festival to people, and some of the guys who no longer live here in Keene, but let's say they're from copblock.org, went around town and put them up on Keene stop signs in town. So it's a bunch of stop signs that stop paying taxes.
You still have one of those.
There is a stop sign. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right.
It's
a very cool
I saw a
concept.
stop sign there on the front porch when I was there last.
Yeah, it says stop paying taxes on it.
Just to be clear, that stop sign was not acquired from the city of Keene. That stop sign came from somewhere else.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I assumed,
Absolutely.
however,
Of course.
that the sticker was put there by you. I mean, you just ended up with a stop sign for whatever reason. You're like, oh, that would be clever.
Yeah, the stop sign table actually came up with me from Florida. My mom actually made it. She found a stop sign at a garage sale. So, yeah.
Fascinating.
Because normally it's illegal to have those.
Really?
That's from what I understand.
Well, I guess they presume that if you have one, you stole it?
Yeah, presumably, yeah.
Okay. So have the police actually approached you, or I mean, what's going on with that?
No, they just put out like a public bulletin on social media saying that they're looking for the person who put the sticker on, and if you know who it is, contact them. I also made another sticker that says, remove this sticker if you support police brutality.
I like that one. Can you show me the design of that one?
Now, here's before you go on though. Here's a question: what kind of sticker did you use? Because we were just discussing this off the air. There are some like badass level stickers out there that are designed to not be removed easily, and then there's just like your standard stickers that you can kind of easily peel off. Did you make a deliberate choice on the type of sticker, or did you just like print up whatever?
I actually went to the White Rose Telegram and bought the printer that they suggest on their Telegram.
Nice.
You've given me an idea,
too,
though,
off first.
of getting like 50 bumper stickers ordered using the White Rose designs, because bumper stickers are similarly designed to just not come off.
Some are, some aren't. It depends on how cheap, and there's some details on that. But that said, I would love to have one on a bumper sticker, because I did slap one, just a normal White Rose sticker on the back of my car, and it didn't last more than 2 weeks before it was like, the sun baked it away.
Well, Lysander, thank you so much for the activism. Keep it up, and
that's awesome.
Let us know how it goes. I mean, if they actually do figure out who you are or anything like that, keep us posted.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's generally not a good idea to announce publicly that you're doing these things, because, I mean, there's really no reason to face criminal charges over this stuff as long as you're careful with how you go about putting them up. I mean,
the irony
like
of
wear
all
a hoodie
of this is that they probably could not have been identified, the three who were arrested in because of Manchester, if they had been wearing masks.
Yes.
Yeah, that is true.
How ironic.
That is true.
But hey, it happens. So moving on, though, Conan, you got into an argument last week with a caller named Stefan, who insisted. What was the argument about? Because I don't really remember.
It was about everything.
Okay.
Obviously, Stefan, who's probably listening because he's a hate listener, doesn't agree with. He is totally on board with all this COVID nonsense. He believes everything that Fauci tells him, everything that Bill Gates tells him.
Yeah, what a shame.
He's probably double masked right now in his house. Hasn't been out since July because he's afraid of people. He's afraid of he probably, when he's walking through the grocery store with his double mask on, he probably holds his breath when he passes somebody. It's that bad. He brought up lots of things that he had issue with. That I was saying, talking specifically about the PCR test and how they overcycle it, because it's so creating false positives. The fact that it's not really even a test. But the big one was that when I mentioned that the COVID swab, the one they jam down your head, it nearly touches your brain. Now there is another one that's come out that's not as intense, but the
the anal swab.
And now you have the Chinese anal swab, but I mean,
not as intense.
That
your first
easier.
guess is the anal swab.
That sounds. It just sounds easier than something going all the way up your nose.
I would considering that my brain is there, and considering the story that I'm going to talk about in a second, I would rather, if you had a gun to my head, I would do the butt swab. But anyways, my report last week was that this swab goes so deep into your head that why does it have to go so? Why does it have to touch the damn almost touch your brain?
I have no idea.
I don't understand that either. If it's so contagious and so
exactly, it
prone
should
to
be in your
spreading.
mouth. It should be should be everywhere.
Yeah, and even when they're touching your brain, this thing still has all kinds of negative results or positive results that are false, basically.
And that's because the PCR test, the way that they ramp it up, the way that they cycle it up, you could find anything You could find, guess what you could find? You could find AIDS and HIV. You could find the bubonic plague probably. You could find all kinds of this. We are walking germ bags. There are more germs in our body, bacteria, viruses, whatnot, than there are human cells. We are walking germ bags. The creator of the PCR test, who coincidentally died a couple of months before this nonsense happened, Kary Mullis, he specifically came out. He got a Nobel Prize for this test, which, by the way, isn't a test. Let me stop saying that. It's a PCR tool. It's a tool that magnifies a sample so that you have more sample to work with. Now, if you only ramp it up to 20 cycles, which is what he recommended, you will probably have a pretty good idea whether or not, this is called the viral load. How much virus do you have in you? Now, if they're taking it up to 30, 35 samples, of course you're gonna find anything because we're walking germ bags. So he said, no, it's going to create false positives. You guys are doing it wrong. And he also said Fauci is a dirtbag. He's a snake oil salesman. Anyways, he died right before all this nonsense happened. And now they have this silly COVID swab that they're jamming up your head. And what happens? San Antonio woman leaks spinal fluid after receiving the COVID nasal swab.
I got to be honest, just hearing leak spinal fluid gives me a headache.
It sounds like a band. Good band name. San
Antonio. There is one called Spinal Tap.
Yeah, and yes. A San Antonio woman is still in shock after she says a COVID nasal swab test went horribly wrong. It hurt. It was an immediate, instant migraine, says Cherry Tim. I've never had a migraine ever in my life. Cherry was in need of a heart diagnostic test, and protocol states she had to test negative for COVID before they could run any tests. She says the swab was inserted in her nose, and she instantly felt pain.
We're going to get further into this, exactly what happened because of this COVID-19 test. And evidently, doctors are not exactly surprised that this happened.
Nope.
603-283-6160 is the call-in line. That's 603-283-6160.
Free Talk Live.
I don't believe in homosexuality.
Should homosexuality be outlawed, Rita?
I think not only homosexuality, but prostitution and fornication.
Fornication?
Are you going to pass laws against people masturbating?
I beg your pardon, sir.
Would you pass laws against people masturbating, ma'am?
I'm very much offended that you would ask me such a question.
What, you can't answer a simple question?
Would you pass a law against people masturbating?
Sir,
I mean, you want to pass laws against two men having sex. I'm just asking you a question.
She said she wanted to pass law against fornication. That's just anybody having sex.
Anybody having sex.
Okay, Rita, let's say I have a fiancé and you overheard us having sex. Would you report us to the cops if there was a law against fornication?
You darn right, sir.
Yeah? How dare you?
How dare you?
Who do you think you are?
How dare you, sir? Who do you think you are?
How dare I have sex with a consenting adult?
On my own property?
You're a moral reprobate, and you're one of the ones who are helping to disintegrate this country.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. You can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. That's 603-283-6160. With you tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian.
And Conan.
And we're talking about this woman from, you said San Antonio, correct? Who, she went into the hospital because she needed something done. They said, no, we have to test you for COVID. They did the brain swab, and she immediately felt pain.
It started from the back of my head and just extended into the front of my head, and my entire brain was in extreme pain, she says. Instantly, fluid just was leaking out of my nose.
It sounds, I mean, I don't think we have like those types of nerves in our brain to sense pain, do we?
I think the nerves are everywhere. Yeah. I think it's the intensity. Like, for example, there's a lot of nerves in your fingers and your lips.
You don't have nerves in your intestines to sense pain.
I'm not sure about that. I thought that they were everywhere. It's just the intensity, the how many that they are in a location. I'm not sure about that. Ian, we'll find out.
I'm looking.
Cherry,
the brain itself does not feel pain because there are no nociceptors located in brain tissue itself.
But it's in the surrounding skin and blood vessels.
But it is wrapped in a membrane, and that might be what did it. She was leaking spinal fluid. A neurologist from the Methodist and an ear, nose, and throat doctor diagnosed her with pneumocephalosis days later. Pneumocephalosis is when there has been a rupture in the dural membrane, or the lining that's around the brain, which allows air to enter the space that's normally occupied by the head. Experts say it's rare, but they aren't surprised it happened. Quote, patients are asked to tilt their head back, and the trajectory, that they call it trajectory, is more parallel to the nostril, the bridge of the nose, and that's what can bring the
swab.
The swab further up and put you in a range of potentially having that COVID swab then rupture the dural membrane, she says, ENT specialist Spencer Payne. Fortunately, there is a procedure to fix the hole that would be a laryngoscopy.
Or you could just not get this test in the first place, which I guess they subjected her to because she went to the hospital. But can you go to the hospital and just say, no thanks to the COVID test? Look, I'm not going to take your test. You can put me in whatever unit you need to keep me away from people.
Except she wanted to get this heart diagnostic, and they said they wouldn't do it unless she got the COVID test. And as far as the hospitals are concerned, they love it because the more COVID patients they get,
more money,
bling, 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 bling. That's how it works. That's how this whole
follow the money, right?
Pandemic. Yeah. You just follow the money. There's a reason why there's a reason why the governors want more cases, because they get more money. There's a reason why the hospitals want more cases. Right. They get more money. There's a reason why Big Pharma making the vaccines want more cases, because they sell more vaccines. follow the damn money. That's what this
Ding,
is all
ding,
about.
ding. Yep.
Well,
So-
there's no doubt that the pharmacy companies like Johnson & Johnson, who just released one, Pfizer and Moderna. I
yeah.
mean, they're making plenty of money off of this vaccine.
They were prepaid. They got the money before they even started making the damn vaccine. By the way, all three of those, not FDA approved. None of them.
Well, I don't care about that.
I don't trust the government to tell me what medicine is safe and isn't. These are the people who created the opiate pandemic.
But I mean, the people who are clamoring to get this vaccine, shouldn't you be kind of concerned that none of this has been approved? None of this has been. You are the guinea pig. They are testing mRNA, a new vaccine, a new type of vaccine that has never been tested on humans before. They're testing it on your dumbass.
I'm not saying I would take the thing, but I don't care whether the FDA does something or not. I mean, as a libertarian, I don't care what the government thinks about drugs. I think you should be able to put whatever sort of test drugs you want in your veins. If I want to go to a doctor and he wants to recommend whatever sort of magical concoction and I'm willing to put it in my body, then it's none of the government's business.
Yeah, but the people who are getting this, they're the kind of people who are worried about their health. They are on eggshells.
They're also the kind of people that love the government.
Concerned that this nonsense coronavirus, which isn't new, is going to kill them. You think that these are the type of people who would actually be interested in what their government suggests is safe and is not safe. And guess what? The jury's out because they don't know if it's safe or not. You're guinea pigs.
The FDA gave an emergency approval, whatever that means. And that's what these statists will fall back to. Oh, well, the FDA did approve it.
No,
in
they
record
didn't.
time.
They put it was emergency approval.
Yeah. Well, that's good enough for them.
That just means they moved up the deadlines. They just gave them preference.
It usually takes years to test these things.
Government.
But they did it in less than a year.
Yeah, they can do it as fast as they need to. I mean, they're the government.
Well, I'm sorry.
They put it ahead of all the other people that are waiting. And the only reason it takes years isn't because it takes years to test things. It's because it's the government.
Yeah. Well,
it's because you're wading through the bureaucracy.
Anyone taking this thing, you're an idiot. Yeah, and if
I don't know that they're idiots, but they're engaging in unnecessarily risky behavior.
I would definitely agree with that.
I would take my chances with this natural disease than I would with.
Me too.
When you consider the COVID issues, the vaccine issues that are cropping up. Which by the way, big mainstream media doesn't report on.
Sure,
and they don't even keep track of you after they give you the vaccine, which you think that they would. You think it'd be important to keep track of people to see the deficiencies along the line. But no, that you don't get a phone call, a month later saying, "How are you doing?
Man, I'm glad they're not keeping track." You're upset about this?
Some of them are, I think, from what
anyone
I understand.
who is testing a new drug on you should be. You think that they would keep track of their patients. In order to determine whether or not this is going to work or not.
Yeah, I thought I heard that the people who were getting doses were getting like reminders a month later or something like that. That's not the case.
I don't know why they would, because there have been too many issues. People getting all their arms swelling up and or
there's
having
always
migraines.
Gonna be issues, but I mean, they still want people to come back for dose number 2. So it makes sense
it's just a text reminder.
They'd get their email or their phone number and send them a reminder.
If the second dose is even available, because a lot of people are complaining that that's not an option. A lot of people are still complaining about not getting their first jab.
Okay.
Which doesn't bother me, but to some people it bothers a whole lot because
there's a lot of people fighting over this
because they want to go back to normal.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, idiots out there, it's never going to go back to normal. Your boy, your God Emperor, your priest Fauci has already says that no. Getting the vaccine's not going to let you go back. You're still going to be having to wear a mask. You're still going to have the social distance. You're still going to have restaurants locked down. It's never going back to normal.
Well, some states are not going to be doing the lockdowns on the restaurants. Apparently, like Texas, from what I understand, or Mississippi, is apparently total anarchy there, according to the governor, which is pretty cool sounding, but I don't think it's the reality. But this is going to be, for some people, depending on which state, there's going to be some lessened restrictions. But the federal government is saying that now people who've been vaccinated are allowed to gather with other vaccinated people
just today,
in closed places, yesterday or whenever it was, but in closed places. But those same people still have to wear masks when they're outside.
Of course.
So it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, even by their own COVID logic.
Not to mention that I read an article just today of this reporter for Israel Times or something who had received both doses of the vaccine and then came down with COVID-19 several weeks later.
Interesting.
Because it's constantly evolving, like the cold, because it is a cold, and you can't
you're just going to need to get a vaccine
that.
every month.
I'm not going to get a vaccine at all, much less once every month.
They have been talking about booster shots. All of these the big vaccines.
Sure. The more boosters, the more money, Moderna, right? Line them up.
If you look at the charts, if you look at what how many vaccines the kids were getting back in the 60s versus the 80s versus now, it's just they're just pumping kids full of this nonsense, and people they've grown up getting a vaccine every single year just to play sports in their school. It's been carved in people's psyche.
Yeah.
This is what they believe is necessary. And it's really sad that they're not talking about what you should be doing. Go outside, get some sunlight, get some exercise, work on your herd immunity by actually being with other human beings.
Right.
Get some fresh air and not having recycled carbon because you got too damn masks on your face. It's ridiculous, but none of these guys talk about any of that.
I would drop the hand sanitizer as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a big fan, obviously, of the government banning things, but if they were going to ban hand sanitizer, I would not be terribly upset by that.
I think that'd be a great idea. You're killing a lot of bacteria, by the way, beneficial bacteria as well.
Well, you're wrecking your own immune system.
Exactly.
Because
not to mention you're drying your hands out because you're basically pouring alcohol on your hands every hour, and you just I don't know what my hands are so dry. Now I got to buy moisturizer. The moisturizer companies love that.
I can't help but roll my eyes whenever I see somebody out in public at some business pumping a hand sanitizer and going,
yeah.
It's a sad state. This is Black Mirror. This whole year and last year has been Black Mirror, and
so the article wraps up. It's not likely to happen to you, but if you feel uncomfortable when getting swabbed, if you choose to take this test for whatever reason, speak up. 603-283-6160.
Just say no.
This is Free Talk Live, or just say no.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Assessing the situation. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. That's what the White House is saying as the number of migrants crossing the southern border increases.
DHS documents show while adults are still being stopped, more than 3,000 unaccompanied minors cross the border. Press Secretary Jen Psaki calls the influx a challenge and says the administration is trying to get these children into facilities that adhere to CDC recommendations.
Capacities to be returned to pre-COVID numbers, all while taking
taking other steps like increased ventilation, additional masking, and other measures to continue to keep these children safe.
Psaki says new facilities are being assessed, but no locations have been finalized. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
The White House may not call the influx a crisis, but Texas Governor Greg Abbott does. He was in the border city of Mission this afternoon and had a message for drug cartels.
We're ready. We're waiting for you. If you dare step into the state of Texas, Texas will use every tool and strategy we can to arrest anybody who's violating the law, to put behind the bars anybody who's violating the law, to make sure that the laws in the state of Texas are going to be enforced.
Abbott says more than 800 violent criminals have been arrested so far, including members of the MS-13 gang. President Biden's nearly $2 trillion coronavirus relief package has cleared a procedural hurdle. A House vote is expected tomorrow.
This is the Biden American Rescue Plan. It will be followed by the American Recovery Plan. And it's about just that, saving lives and livelihoods and giving people hope for the future.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Republicans have argued the measure contains too much money for what they've called partisan projects. Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson has signed a law banning nearly all abortions in the state except to save the life of the mother, though a legal challenge is expected. America is listening to Fox News.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but here you go. You deserve to feel better than you do today. And you can with Headspace. They make meditation simple. Headspace is the one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research and can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Go to headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial. This is the best deal offered right now. Headspace.com/Fox.
A federal mass COVID vaccination site is now operational in Greensboro, North Carolina.
North Carolina emergency management officials say FEMA chose the city of Greensboro using a social vulnerability index to target underserved populations. An indoor and outdoor drive-through vaccination sites have been set up here at the Four Seasons Town Center Mall, where Air Force captain and nurse Jessica Aglabu will oversee operations.
I am ecstatic to be here, and I'm ready to move forward for a sense of normalcy.
Eligible people can sign up to make appointments for this location online, which officials say it will be able to give out 3,000 vaccines a day for the next 8 weeks. In Greensboro, North Carolina, Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
America's climate envoy John Kerry in Brussels says the Biden administration looks to European allies on the environment.
John Kerry says the Biden administration wants to see global action to combat climate change.
No one country can resolve this crisis. It will take every country.
Speaking in Brussels after talks with his counterpart at the EU, the US envoy said reforming economies would cost trillions, but
it is more expensive for our citizens not to respond and do what we need to do than it is to do it.
He said a UN summit in Scotland this year is the world's last best hope to address global warming. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
Guidelines released today say more Americans now qualify.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
A hot new murder craze sweeps Chicago. Things that shouldn't be said in modern society are said 1,400 times at the RNC, and a brave woman enters a restaurant without first looking it up online. This is the Onion Week in Review. The World Wildlife Fund quickly backtracked Thursday from a recently released press statement saying panda ears are, quote, absolutely delicious. Organization officials noted that while panda ears do taste amazing braised, steamed, fried, or cooked in an omelet, they should not have announced it publicly, nor should they have ever eaten any part of a cheetah, giraffe, or Bengal Bengal tiger, no matter how good they may be. According to company sources, the Netflix board of directors held a tense series of meetings earlier this morning to decide whether the fantasy comedy Michael is stream-worthy. The board reportedly sat through its mandatory 2 back-to-back screenings of the 1996 film starring John Travolta as an angel visiting Earth, all while passionately arguing over the film's story, acting, and level of enjoyment upon subsequent viewings to determine if the movie should be available through its instant viewing program.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. 603-283-6160. With you tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian.
And Conan.
And vaccine passports appear to be coming. China has issued what is thought to be the world's first COVID vaccine passport, and New York is evidently testing one.
Oh, so it'll be just like communist China in New York then.
Papers, please.
It is New York, so it's hardly surprising. I'm sure.
Papers, please.
Israel has theirs, and by the way, the key word is the green card or the green vaccine. So they just stamping green on anything they want. Merkel was talking about the EU having theirs set
California
up pretty soon.
is doing something similar with their school children. We talked about that, I think, last week. We played that just horrific video of making kids check every single day whether or not they felt ill. So their goal, China's goal, is to boost international travel, and therefore they plan to accept other countries' vaccine health certificates being used by passengers, because that appears to be where we're heading. If you want to leave the United States or travel anywhere else in the world, you need to have your vaccine passport, your vaccine health certificate, or whatever nonsense they want to call it.
Yeah, Ari, if you ever want to go to the Float Fest next year.
The Float Fest won't require that. That'd be like Fork Fest.
To get on the plane
to
fly there, you might need one. Unless you decide that you want to drive there, and that's like 2,000 miles. Can you do it?
Yes, I've done it before, but I'm not doing it again.
Well,
I've had my fill of 2,000-mile drives.
It's a 2-hour plane drive, but I mean, if you have to get a vaccine, if you have to get your papers, would you do it? You're gonna get the test.
No, I would drive.
But here's how they're going to lay this on us in the beginning. It's going to be like they're going to give you an option. You can either get the vaccine papers, or you can take the PCR test before you leave or immediately when you land. And then, of course, if you're positive, or then you have to wait for the results. So you have to stay in their hotel for 3 days.
God. Now, every time you travel, you've got to add an extra week because you have to stay in a hotel for 3 days on one side and then stay in another hotel for 3 days on the other side.
This is exactly what Canada's doing right now.
Because this is totally going to increase travel, right? When you actually have to spend days in a hotel that you weren't planning on spending. You were just going to go for a weekend, but now it takes you an entire week and it's going to cost you 3 times as much.
Exactly. That you have to pay for, and that's where they get you. Or
and some of these are ridiculously expensive.
You could get the papers. Now, what do you think most people are going to do? They're going to want to
can do the smart thing, since all of this is being done on mobile devices, and you can get a friend of yours to program something that is identical to this and that says you've already been vaccinated.
Yeah, but then they win. Then you're in the.
You're lying to them. They don't win when you lie to them.
There's nothing wrong with using deception against a criminal enterprise that's trying to use violence against you. There's nothing wrong. Like, I don't normally support being deceptive or lying, but this is a criminal gang, and there's nothing wrong with it. Right? If somebody puts a gun to your head and says, "Give me all your money," and you only hand them your wallet instead of handing them the cash that's in your shoe or whatever, right? Like, you've got other money on you. You don't tell them the whole truth. They don't need to know the whole truth, and it wouldn't be dishonest. It wouldn't be wrong to be dishonest to those people.
I think absolutely you should do whatever you have to do, but in a way, they still win. They're still going to get some of it.
Well, here's how they're going to do it.
And not to mention, they're not having to deal with people fighting them every step of the way.
And here's how they're going to do it. They're going to use this sort of panopticon technology world that we're living in, to where initially you might be able to put, like, when they're first rolling this stuff out, you might be able to get away with like a faked printed certificate, right? Like, here's my certificate. Okay, you get on the plane or whatever. But eventually, if they mandate that everybody has to be on, the IBM or the Microsoft systems that they're coming out with, then that's going to be very difficult to fake.
Yeah, because by then they'd be, checking your QR code or whatever against the database.
That's right.
And it would have to match the name you have in the database or whatever.
Yep.
For a while, this will be cheatable. So
that's right.
Maybe Conan has a point. Maybe we should just resist it from the beginning.
Well, looking at all the people that I know don't agree with the masks who are wearing the masks, I don't believe that's going to happen. People are just going to go along to get along. There's not going to be
any resistance.
They're going to go along to get along because they want to go to the grocery store. They want to get on a plane and go to Float Fest because they want to have a vacation. People are going to do it.
Right, and they don't want to deal with whatever conflicts might come up. So even some of the people who don't actually want to wear the masks are still putting them on because they would rather not have the issues.
Yeah, I'm a prime example.
You put masks on?
No, I haven't. I've worn a mask twice.
Well, okay. Well,
but
what are you a prime example of?
Because I don't go out and fight it. I don't go to grocery stores and fight the system because I don't like confrontation and because it's private property and there's that argument. If a dumbass grocery store wants to have a mask mandate that's not actually if I had to go to court, if it was public property, not happening. But a private party, if they want to be dumb.
But that's the thing.
So what do? I do curbside, and I've been doing it the whole time. So I'm not actually fighting the system.
Well, the thing is, you don't know what the owner's wishes are. Okay, even though there's a sign on the door, I know multiple property owners who vehemently disagree with the masks, and they've got signs on their doors.
Yep.
So they don't actually. Just like Richie Rich, our Sunday night co-host, makes kind of a similar argument. He makes this strong property rights argument that, well, when somebody puts up a sign, that's what they mean, that's what they say, that's what it is. You need to respect that. And I mean, I'm putting words into his mouth, but that's my understanding of his argument. He's not here to make the claims.
Well, he says similar things in the King Chat group. So
yeah, and I don't know if he's just trolling or whatever, but the evidence is not every business owner actually agrees with these things, and that's just from me speaking with them personally. But of the stores I've gone into where I don't know the business owner and I'm just going in without a mask on, I'm presuming that those business owners will honor a medical exemption. Mm-hmm. And if they don't want to honor a medical exemption, that's fine. They just need to tell me.
Right.
And I got no problem. I will turn around and walk out just like I did in AutoZone with Bonnie the other day. So, they told us that they would service us outside, that we weren't allowed to be in there due to the Keene rules. I'm like, well, that's not what the Keene rules say. They didn't care. And so I shouldn't say they.
Yeah,
they're very fat girl that was working there didn't care. And so I nicely left. I didn't make a big stink or anything like that, but I did say that's not what the rules are, and we'll just go somewhere else. And I left. So if they make it clear to me, then I know that that's what they really want. But if it's just a sign on the door, that's not good enough because I know those signs are being placed there under duress. I know that a lot of them are.
Yeah, and by the way, that's the one store where I had to wear it.
Is that right?
Because my truck was broke. Heads up.
You didn't go across the street?
They already had the part ordered. I was looking at it. It was right there. So I was in there for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But anyways, next time go to O'Reilly across town. They don't.
Other people across the street had no problem either. What was that? Whatever the other one was. No, AutoZone was the bad one. It was Advanced Auto.
Advanced Auto. Oh, they're crazy people.
Had no problem there.
Yeah, they're crazy. They've been crazy since day one.
Had no issue.
Which one's been crazy?
Advanced Auto.
Crazy in what way?
They closed their store down for like a whole month back in February, back in March, back when this first
corporate
started.
Policy of closing a store isn't the same as the workers there not doing anything, and the workers there didn't do anything.
Well, they lost money, didn't they? So hopefully the free market takes care of this in a way that allows us, free thinking people to carry on in our lives.
I'm just saying, I want to talk to somebody personally. If there's an issue with me coming into that store with no mask on, come talk to me. And let me know what your wishes really are.
Well, there's another reason why I've decided to, because I don't like confrontation. I don't like bumping heads with these people.
Yeah. Well, you don't like people in general.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
The last time, because when did this happen last time? When I voted, when I was walking out and you were walking in.
Yeah.
The lady and I were yelling at each other.
Okay.
Did you get video of this?
No, I didn't even think it was going to happen because she was the only person in the whole building. There must have been 50, 60 people in there, all rubbing shoulders, by the way. And this lady's like, you got to wear a mask, And I was like, voter, you can't do this to me. And she stormed off. And then by the time you guys got there, I guess she got the big guns out because you had to go out to the leper tent.
That's right. Yeah.
So that was the last time that really happened. But here's the other reason why. I'm kind of, in a way, training for what this could turn into.
What do you mean?
He thinks it's the apocalypse.
No. Pre-apocalypse maybe.
Okay.
But I want to ensure that I could survive if everything shut down to me.
Mm-hmm.
If we all had to get the mark in order to grocery shop, I've figured out, other options. But first of all, growing almost everything that I eat.
So the Chinese health certificate shows a user's vaccination status and recent coronavirus test results. You would think both of those wouldn't be necessary, but according to The Sun, it's being held as the world's first virus passport, not universally condemned or reviled, held.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a good thing. This is Free Talk Live.
Hey developers, do you want to add Bitcoin to your apps, website? Want to make something creative? AnyPay is the way. We made a super simple API just for you at anypay.dev. You don't need any special knowledge of Bitcoin. Plug it into your app or website and it just works. Get paid on the transactions your users make. Whether you're brand new to web development or have decades of experience, you can add Bitcoin to anything with anypay.dev.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160. That's the call-in line. You can call in, talk about whatever you want. 603-283-6160. With you tonight, it's Aria, Conan, and Ian. And everyone's talking about buying Bitcoin. And, you know, that's one way to acquire Bitcoin, but there's another way. How about earning some Bitcoin, getting paid with it?
It's the best way to do it.
It is. If you want to earn Bitcoin for your business, check out AnyPayX.com. That's the best way to do it. Your customers will love it. Everyone in town will talk about your store being the Bitcoin store, and it's fun. Get the free app and start earning Bitcoin at your business, AnyPayX.com. That's a URL I haven't seen yet. Why did they...
I don't know. They love changing their URL.
They do. Does AnyPay. I don't remember.
AnyPayInc.com was the old one. That one still works. This
Okay.
one actually takes you straight to the online app.
Okay, nice. AnyPayX.com is that URL. So check it out if you want to, you know, start earning Bitcoin. It's the best way to do it. And we use it all the time here in Keene. But let's go to the phones. We got Matthew calling from Connecticut. Matthew, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah. Thanks for going in so hard on this COVID thing tonight. I appreciate all your guys' spirited efforts here.
Thanks.
I had one little suggestion for how you could maybe do like a mild protest if you want to, you know, not be too quote unquote rude to like the property owner or disruptive or something, but also send some kind of message that, you know, you might be less than happy with what's going on or not. Like,
yeah, could you keep, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but could you keep the description of this as short as possible? There's like a really annoying
I'm glad it
tone.
wasn't just me hearing that.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a tone behind your voice that's pretty constant when you're talking. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so going into the store with no mask, just having the mask in the pocket, and then if they say, you know, hey, where's your mask? Well, you know, what's going on? You can't do this. Then you pull that mask out right then. But you head into every store without the mask.
Why would you pull the mask out right then?
Or, well, I mean, just like if you don't really want to protest, but you.
So if you want to half-ass
to
something,
give
this is a
some-
half-ass approach. Yeah, I mean, it's not really, you know, it doesn't impress me, but, you know, you should do whatever you're comfortable with.
No, I was thinking you weren't going to like it, actually, but I figured it might be better than nothing.
It's better than nothing.
Matthew,
Yeah, I'll
thank
give
you
you
so
that.
much for the call. I just choose
Because you could
to-
instead just say, I have a medical exemption, and then go about your business. And 99% of the time, they're going to leave you alone. Sorry.
I don't even bother with that. I mean, most of the places I go to give me like a warning. It's like, hey, you need to have a mask to be in here. It was like, so next time you come in, you need to be wearing a mask or something. It's like, okay, and then I don't go back.
Oh, see, I just say I got a medical exemption, and they leave me alone.
I don't appreciate. I mean, it would be deceitful for me to say that.
But it's not deceitful. I have a medical exemption because
you
I
like
need
to
to
breathe
breathe.
oxygen. Yes.
Okay, that's fair.
Uh-huh.
According to OSHA, that, you know, employees are required to have a certain amount of oxygen. So I mean, you can always, if your employer ever fought it, if you know went after you, you
Right.
could say, hey, look at these guidelines. I am required a certain amount of oxygen. Otherwise, you are failing to keep me safe.
Yep, I've got a doctor who wrote me a note. Now, I'm not supposed to show that note to anybody.
You're not supposed to ask if you have that note.
That's right.
Really,
They're not supposed to ask. But if it were to come down to it, you know, if the cops were to or try to arrest me or something like that, they'd find a note in my wallet.
So this vaccine.
And by the way, Ari, I agree with you completely. Yes, Ian, you're correct. I do have a medical exemption as far as breathing oxygen, but at the same time, I would be lying, and I wouldn't. I don't like.
You don't need oxygen?
I love my oxygen, but as far as being a medical condition, I can wear a mask. I wear a mask when I drywall or when I'm up in the attic.
Well, that's because you want to keep the
dust out of my lungs.
out of your lungs.
Yeah, there's an actual reason to use it in that case. But I could wear a mask, except I
So
refuse
could
to do
I.
it. I could because but I refuse to because it's dumb. It's stupid. It's
And
not
it
about
is
safety. It's about
restricting.
compliance.
It's restricting.
Exactly.
And it also causes acne on people as well. I don't know if you've heard about that, maskne or whatever they're calling it.
And
I've heard
bad
about
breath.
that. I haven't seen it with anyone though.
Mikey Gordon, he has reported that acne has been growing on him. for wearing the mask.
By the way, and one of our listeners in the chat group says that we should just claim we have autism.
Yeah, but I tested that I didn't,
which actually is kind of true.
Maybe you do.
Asperger's, anyways.
Speak for yourself.
All right.
I took a test, man.
I haven't taken the test, but I'm pretty sure I'm not autistic.
Well, how does the test work?
There's a test online. Go take it.
All right, I'm going to take it. We took the colorblind test last time I was in here. I'll take the autism test.
It takes a little while. There's like 100 questions or 80 questions or something like that, so they're fairly lengthy.
It doesn't sound like it's actually a medical test, though.
There are lots of tests.
It's a pretty good test.
There are lots of tests online that I don't absolutely trust. Like there are IQ tests that don't really, you got to, is this really proven anything?
Well, you can take more than one of them. There's more than one test.
I don't know. I have
See if you can pass them all.
All right. Well, I'll take one of them anyways because I'm curious. I've always, I've always speculated that a lot of us, free-thinking folk, these individualists, are on some level, are on the Otzi level at some type.
Well, what is autism? It's your brain functioning differently, right?
It's the ability to concentrate, to focus in on one thing, and to cancel everything else out. This is one aspect of
that's just discipline. Chess players do that all the time.
But having difficulty dealing with everything else around you while you're concentrating on this one thing.
So it's the inability to concentrate.
I think it's being overwhelmed easily by outside influences. But
doesn't it also have to do, or is it just the Asperger's that's like a part of autism? Doesn't it have to do where they can't like easily get along with other human beings? Isn't that usually something that is observed?
I think Asperger's is a lack of empathy. You don't really understand.
That's a psychopath.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Okay.
But no, the inability to.
I don't think people with Asperger's are psychopaths.
I'm sorry, not empathy, but the inability to read other human
people.
beings.
Yeah,
like you don't like someone's making a joke, and I come right in because I have the Asperger's, and I'm thinking you're going in a completely different direction, and I'm
or you can't read social cues,
Correct.
right? Like so you don't know that it's time to leave the party, for instance.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Or don't be a creeper. Creeping on the girls,
Yep.
and
they say things that they shouldn't.
Exactly.
That kind of thing. Yep. They have no idea what they've done is offensive either in a lot of cases.
So this new vaccination status health certificate thing, it's a QR-based digital certificate. According to a foreign ministry spokesman from China, it will promote world economic recovery and facilitate cross-border travel. There are easier ways to promote world economic recovery. Just print more money.
That's exactly what they're doing.
No, that doesn't do that.
No, it doesn't, but that's what neither is
if
this.
If they want to promote economic recovery, they should back the F off and leave people alone and let them make their own choices and open their own businesses, but they're doing anything but that.
The Great Reset is never going to happen unless they have everyone broke. Unless they destroy everything so that they can build back better.
Ugh.
So a ministry spokesman from China said the pandemic is still with us, but the world economy needs to be restarted and people-to-people exchanges resumed with no more delays. I can at least get on board with that last thing. People-to-people, person-to-person interactions, we need those in our lives. This is Free Talk Live.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene.
You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
You know that at some point in your life, an emergency is going to happen. You just don't know when. You could call the government and maybe they'll help, or they might shoot your dog. Why call potentially psychopathic strangers when you could ask your friends, family, or neighbors for help? Cell 411 makes decentralized emergency response possible, and it's free. Visit getcell411.com or download Cell 411 from your favorite app store. Getcell411.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. 603-283-6160. With you tonight, it's Arya.
It's Ian.
And Conan.
And China isn't alone in conceiving these ways of tracking individuals everywhere and their health status. And does the government have any right to know our medical history in the first place?
Well, the government doesn't have a right to exist.
Okay, fair point. But according to their own little legal shenanigans game they have going on, that's privileged information, isn't it?
In theory, but I mean, if a man with a robe says that they need to have it, I suspect they could have it.
Yeah, especially if they're claiming that knowing your condition is they only know your condition to keep others, to keep the public, the common, safe from your infection that you might have, that you might be walking around spreading. So they've got to know if you're sick or not so that they can quarantine you.
I can't believe that humans let ourselves get to this point where we're actually looking at one another, just viewing them as disease vectors, not human beings. No, they're plague-carrying rats.
We've been conditioned this whole year to believe that we are surrounded by lepers. I mean, just turn on the news. That's all they talk about is death, cases, infection. And if you don't social distance, if you don't hold your breath when you're walking by somebody, there's a chance you might get it, and you'll take it home with you, and you'll kill grandma.
I mean, quite possibly a year ago today, we were talking about posters that were on subways in China that said things like, everyone you see is a ghost that could potentially kill you, and nonsense like that. And that's exactly how Americans are behaving toward one another now. I would not have predicted things would have gotten to this horrific hellscape point a year ago.
Nope, I wouldn't have either. I was really disappointed to see how many people were so obedient and continue to be disappointed with it.
I don't mind the obedience thing because ultimately the government is, holding a gun to people's heads. What really bothers me about
it is
really
not.
It's not. There's
the
more
lack of humanity from one human being to another.
This is a social abuse. It's not the government holding guns to people's heads. It's people who are pressuring other people to do this through social pressure.
But it's not just the government that is running with this. I mean, think about some of the mandates that came down. There were plenty of organizations out there that were saying mask up and social distance and do this and that, and you can't come in our stores unless you do.
Well, right. Remember,
way before the government mandates started popping out,
and a lot of them are going to continue after the government mandates are over. So you're going to see when in states like Tennessee or Texas and Mississippi. I think Wyoming now is the 5th state. There's Alabama.
What the hell is New Hampshire waiting on?
New Hampshire's been mid-pack the whole time.
We have a rhino governor. He needs to go back to Massachusetts for real.
Is that where he's from?
No, he's not. But he needs to go there because he'll fit in a lot better. But yeah, Texas people in Texas who were screaming about this governor coming down and saying, we're opening up completely.
They were protesting yesterday in Austin.
It's like, what did he say? What did he say that prevents you from wearing a mask? He didn't say you can't wear a mask. He didn't say that if you're a business that you can't prevent people from coming in your private property without a mask on.
Thought. They were gathered together to protest the governor lifting restrictions.
That's my understanding. In Austin yesterday, there were 2 different groups, including like the Democratic Socialists or whatever, as well as a group of sound techs, apparently, like people who do sound for live shows. They were protesting the governor removing the mask mandate in Texas.
I get why the sound techs would do it, because those unemployment benefits that the federal government is giving them are quite nice. It's like teachers being told, hey.
Just like the teachers union. It's not about safety. It's about you not going back to work again, you nasties.
The teachers union in California actually just told all of its teachers, hey, don't post pictures of you vacationing on social media.
And keep speaking of California, don't tell anyone that you're taking your kids to a charter school halfway across town. Same thing. Teachers union guy.
So what you're going to see happen is the business owners who are on board with all these restrictions, obviously they're going to continue. The mega corporations, they're going to continue with the mandates likely, and you're going to see pressure on them to continue. So not only are they protesting outside of the governor's office or whatever, or the state house, but they're also going to people who work for some of these companies. And I forget, I think Bonnie was telling me the other day that somebody had posted online that they were complaining to their company that they work for, saying, if you remove the mask policy, like they're in Texas or something, if you remove the mask policy from the workplace, I will quit my job.
Then quit your job. Or just keep wearing a mask if that's what you want to do.
But that's the thing. They want other people to be told what to do. It's not just about them. It's about forcing everybody else to be the same.
And this is and the thing about the mask that really gets me is they got us early in the beginning because it was science. Settled science says, guess what? The mask doesn't prevent you from getting COVID. Doesn't do anything to help you prevent. The argument is that came out like a month later was, no. You're not wearing the mask to help you from not getting it. You're wearing it to help prevent people from spreading it because it keeps all the nastiness in there. So the argument that they got,
and then they flip flopped on that about 6 to 7 months ago. So wait, we were wrong. It turns out that wearing the mask does help prevent you from getting COVID.
Yeah, well,
this settled science suddenly got 180.
I don't think that it's ever said that it helps you preventing you from getting it. It helps.
It has. That's the latest news.
It helps prevent people from spreading it. And now, of course, if you're going to wear, if you really want to be safe, you got to put the 2 on. And 3, oh, wow. 3 could, I'm not going to argue 3, right, Fauci? Yeah, snake oil salesman, piece of garbage. I hate that guy. And why Trump put up with him for so long? If Trump is so smart, all you conservatives out there voted for Trump. If Trump was so smart, how the hell did he keep that guy around the whole stinking time? I mean, talk about conflict of interest. Fauci is the last guy you should be listening to about any COVID, considering all the patents he owns and all the money that he's going to make off of this. He's the last guy you should be listening to. And the same thing with Gates. People are a bunch of idiots out there.
Well, according to WebMD.com, which obviously is not one of the best sources for medical information out there, A study out of Denmark tested whether paper surgical face masks protect the people who actually wear them. And it turns out they don't appear to offer a big benefit to... I'd have to look into this.
It's probably a non-existent drip. Probably because none of this has been proven.
Is based in science. I mean, the only way this crap could work,
the science is settled.
If people actually understood and didn't touch their masks all the time.
Exactly.
But
and what do. Yeah, it's in their pocket. They've been wearing it for 3 straight months.
Haven't washed it.
It's moist.
Dropping it on the ground, picking it back up, putting it on. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, it's literally an incubator of germs that you're exhaling, that you're keeping incubated by breathing warm breath at it.
It's disgusting.
And then people are reaching up and they're
is.
touching this thing, they're adjusting it, and then they're touching a monster or a glass or whatever.
Yeah. Somebody posted on Twitter today that there was a study that 30% or 33% of Americans only wash their sheets once a year.
Oh, God.
But these are the people who want to be, like wearing masks and
what
and
percentage
shaming
of
other.
Americans?
It was like one out of 3.
By the way, one of the first things that Fauci ever said about this, when he back early on, he was asked whether people should wear masks, and he was like,
no.
He was like, no, there's no science that.
Then somebody at a mask company, gave him a bunch of money,
and he also said, you shouldn't, because what you do is exactly what you're just saying. You're just fidgeting, you're touching it, you're getting it all over the place, and then you're spreading you're touching everything, you're touching the doorknobs. And one of the first things he said is you shouldn't wear a mask because it actually is worse than breathing regular air.
Yeah, because people don't have the discipline for it.
No.
I found something from NPR, though, about how wear a mask to protect yourself from the coronavirus, not only others, the CDC has stressed. And this is November 11, 2020. Of course, there was no media outcry about how this settled science suddenly flipped on its head. You were saying?
No, it's just that, but that is their argument. If you ever question any of this, like this is what Fauci said 12 months ago, they'd be like, well, the science changes, it evolves.
Then it's not settled, is it?
Well, but yeah, and then the same sentence, the next sentence, they'll be talking about settled science. It's like, wait, what did you just say? You said it's always evolving, it's always changing, there's always, new ideas going on. And why do you keep canceling, censoring the scientists, the biologists, who's saying the opposite?
I got news for these people.
Twitter.
Settled science isn't science.
That's right.
It's religion.
It's a cult.
That's what this is.
603-283-6160 is the call-in line. 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
AnyPay believes that Bitcoin is meant to improve your life, make it easier to do business, connect you with more people in the world at under a penny every time. That's kind of why we laugh at BTC. It used to be free the market, free the world. Now it's just hodl and have fun staying poor. That's not what the world needs. We need honest money that works for everyone. If you care, join us at anypayx.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power, but there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. That's the call-in line if you want to join the conversation. You can talk about what we've been discussing, or you can change the subject and talk about anything you want. That's the whole point of the show, 603-283-6160. With you tonight is Aria, Ian, and Conan. And I don't know if you missed it, but Free Talk Live now has a sort of Twitter clone that you can find at social.freetalklive.com. It's 100% controlled only by Free Talk Live. There's no censor. Twitter can't censor you. Facebook can't censor it. Anything you say there, uncensorable, unless Ian or someone else decides to censor. And even then, most people would just block you. Check it out. Social.freetalklive.com tells you how to connect to it. It's really cool, and it allows you to actually connect with us, the hosts of the show. Are you on it, Conan?
I'm on Mastodon, which is what my first question. Is this better than Mastodon?
It is Mastodon.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. Yes, I am on
But it is not the Mastodon server. It's the Free Talk Live server that's running an instance of Mastodon.
Correct. Yeah, that's all of the servers are basically instances basically talking to each other.
That's correct.
It's a great system. It's a beautiful system. I really, and I know that I'm looking into it, and I wish more people would jump on board with, because I don't like Twitter as much as I do, say, Facebook. I want something that is like Mastodon, but for more social media. I know Diaspora is one of them, and there are others out there that I just really haven't done a whole lot of research on, because I've never been a Twitter fan. I don't like how it works. I don't like to read other people's comments. You know, I want to pass pictures back and forth with my family. I want to see people's cats. I want to see stupid memes and stuff.
I can relate. But I do also like Twitter. I don't know. I like posting to Twitter. I don't ever read anyone's tweets or interact with other people's tweets.
You just have a huge ego. You just want everyone to know. You just want everyone to know how you feel.
That's not true. I rarely post to Facebook. Instead, I look at what other people have posted.
And I will tell you this: Aria's posts on Facebook are very Twitter-like. They're like, this is my thought for the day, kind of a thing, or this is, it's, you tidy it up in a nice little lump and you throw it out there, but as far as, in comparison to like Twitter, it's easier to the back and forth between your your fans and or your family and your people. It's a lot easier on, say, Facebook than it is, say, on Twitter.
There are also significantly more cat pics on Facebook, and
yes.
that's a selling point, in my opinion.
One of my favorite cat pages, Cats on Cocaine. It's one of the better ones out there. It's beautiful.
I'm aware of that one. This cat is grumpy is also really good.
That's a good one.
Oh, I'm not surprised you're in all of these as well. Let's go to the phones. We got Epicurus calling. Epicurus, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I'll keep it brief. So I live in New Hampshire. I'm a free stater that moved over here a few years ago, and I'm looking to adopt a puppy in Vermont. And I haven't left the state in a while, and I'm wondering if you guys know of any issues I might run into trying to cross the border to go into central Vermont to adopt a dog.
I know for the first 6 months of this nonsense, they actually had a paid employee who sat on the other side of the bridge, and he counted out-of-state license plates. And there's a big old sign that says you have to quarantine for 14 days, which I think has been up since day one. But as far as but you can get in and out. I go there every Sunday to pick mail up, and then I come right back to New Hampshire. But I don't know where you're adopting this dog from, but I know on the radio I constantly hear an ad for adopting some, I don't know who it is, whether it's the Humane Society or whatnot, but they always end the advertisement with, oh, and by the way, we only let Vermont residents adopt from us because of COVID. So I would really make sure that they're even going to let you in the building.
Yeah, that's a good point. The person I'm adopting from, the breeder, she kind of went. She saw my application, saw where I was from in New Hampshire. She's like, oh, so I got to find out more about that. But I get you there. Okay, because I had also read that there was up to like 30 checkpoints or something along the border at some point last year where they were counting out of state plates. So that makes sense then. Okay, so it sounds like there's not a whole lot of concern then, just kind of gotta keep an eye out.
Yeah, I wouldn't think there's any concern. I go to Brattleboro fairly often, and I went to Massachusetts last week, and we didn't encounter anything like that. It was, all of these states here in the Northeast are clustered so closely together that the states' borders are largely irrelevant.
Yeah, when you consider how many people are driving back and forth just to work or to grocery shop. I mean, we have the New Hampshire incentive. For Massachusetts, Massholes and Vermontese, the hippies over there, are coming in droves to buy our alcohol and to shop in our grocery stores. I mean, we have, because no sales tax.
Not to mention going up to Lancaster, New Hampshire, which is where they hold Fork Fest. You cross over between Vermont and New Hampshire like 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
So I don't expect you to have any issues.
You do good. You might have issues with your breeder. She might be a crazy breeder who won't even let you in the house unless you got a mask on, unless you're social distancing, and she might insist that you have a PCR test example with you, results. Who knows?
And if she does, then she has no right to be a breeder in the first place, because her whole thing should be getting a dog into the loving arms of a person who wants that dog. She'd be failing in her job.
I've dealt with breeders. It depends on where they're getting their money from. I've dealt with breeders that were getting incentives from the government.
Sure.
For every head, for every cat in her building, she was getting money, and so she didn't want to.
Well, see, this is a problem that
she didn't want to let anyone adopt her cats.
This
was
is a
many,
problem
many
that
years
is
ago.
solved with less government, as most problems
absolutely,
are.
Absolutely.
Epicurus, thanks for the call. We've also got Tom calling from New Hampshire. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, what would be wicked funny? You get all these white supremacist Trump supporters who were talking about secession in Texas, and they're going to get tough, and they're going to talk all this crazy tough talk about how they're going to secede, and they're going to go to war against the feds.
Good.
And then they realize that would mean going to war against the Border Patrol.
Why can't they have their own Border Patrol? Doesn't Texas have their own Border Patrol? Along with some feds?
It's a federal border patrol.
Well, so you're saying they wouldn't care much for having all the illegal aliens coming in and taking their jobs?
They wouldn't want to go to war against their beloved border patrol goons. They love the border patrol.
And why is it only white supremacists that are advocating secession? Because that's bull crap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I advocate secession, and I'm certainly not a white supremacist.
I'm thinking people all over this country that are advocating secession who aren't white supremacists. They just want the government out of their damn lives.
Yeah, there's plenty of people.
And to keep their money.
We read a story last week.
Jefferson.
We read a story by, I forget who it was, I think it was The Nation magazine, advocating for blue state secession. They're not white supremacists.
Isn't every time, well, yeah.
I don't think most people, I mean, the white supremacists who want secession, they want to form their own society. This is the best interpretation of their general beliefs. They want to form their own gated society where only white people can come or whatever. That's not what any of us here in the studio are advocating. We don't want anyone to leave. We don't want to establish this new country where we're carefully controlling who can and can't come. We just want to be free to associate with people voluntarily in a way that we choose.
Well, yeah, exactly. Freedom. It's nasty, but it's good depending on how you interpret it.
But it's also bad. You know, it can lead to some very bad things. But the reason I want secession more than anything is because of the election results when I ran for the sheriff position for the Republicans, and the fact that 4,000 people went in there and voted for a candidate they knew absolutely nothing about simply because of a letter next to their name. Now multiply that across the entire United States and imagine how many ignorant people in California, Oregon, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Texas are voting for people they know nothing about. These people are going to go to Washington, D.C., and they're going to create laws that affect our lives.
Exactly.
And that's stupid. I don't want the ignorant people in New Hampshire to vote for who's going to make the law. But at least then it's a smaller, more easily fixed problem. When you have it national, it's impossible to fix.
Absolutely. It's harder to get things fixed whenever you're having to deal with so many other options, so many other opinions. It's smaller is better. Well, no. Let me repeat that.
Smaller government is better.
Smaller government is always better. And the problem with ours is it's only my whole lifetime, and since its inception, it has only gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and they spend more,
not slowing down.
And they take more of your freedoms from you, and it's not slowing down anytime soon.
They're going harder, they're going faster.
And there's only one result there's only one result.
Secession now is the only way out of this thing.
But government
divorce.
Government is always getting bigger. It's taking away more and more of our freedoms. And Ian, you have a story about that, a breakdown of the freest places in the world, and the United States fallen to the lowest point it's ever been at. We're going to get into that when we get back. 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Coinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Coinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Coinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's cleared one hurdle. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The House set to vote on President Biden's nearly $2 trillion coronavirus relief package tomorrow.
Democrats in Congress are likely to send the $1.9 trillion relief bill to President Biden tomorrow.
It will put more vaccines in arms, put more kids back safely in schools.
Rules Committee Chairman Democrat Jim McGovern says the sweeping bill is also an anti-poverty plan. Top Budget Committee Republican Jason Smith calls it a bailout.
Bailouts to states with no requirement they end lockdowns, billions to schools with no requirement they open up for our kids.
Senate changes did reduce income caps on $1,400 stimulus checks, but extended federal unemployment enhancements. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The White House says President Biden will not put his signature on the $1,400 relief checks that are expected to go out by the end of the month. Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the checks will be signed by an official of the Bureau of Fiscal Service. A sixth woman has come forward to the Albany Times-Union newspaper claiming New York Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed her. Cuomo says he hadn't heard about the latest allegations and again said he did nothing inappropriate.
You can allege something. Might be true, might be not true. You may have misperceived. There may be other facts. So let's get the facts, and that's what the investigation does, and that's what the Attorney General is doing, and that's what we should all respect.
And Cuomo said until the facts are revealed, he will not rule out running for a fourth term as governor. The state of Florida is suing the Biden administration over a new executive order and guidance that have stopped detentions of some immigrants who have served prison time. Homeland Security says partially due to limited resources, they couldn't respond to all immigration violations. America is listening to Fox News.
Did you know Lantern Towers served as both a lighthouse and a prison? You would if you watched the series Besieged Fortresses on CuriosityStream. Launched by the creator of Discovery Channel, CuriosityStream is the opposite of mindless TV. This is nonfiction entertainment created by award-winning filmmakers, available on any device. Satisfy your curiosity for less than $2 a month at curiositystream.com/Fox. That's curiositystream.com/Fox.
A response from Buckingham Palace after Prince Harry and Meghan accused the royals of racism.
In a short statement issued on behalf of the Queen, Buckingham Palace says issues of race raised by Prince Harry and Meghan are concerning and taken very seriously. It says they'll be addressed by the family privately, although the statement also notes some recollections may vary. The palace says the royals are saddened to learn of the challenges Harry and Meghan described. It adds the couple and their son Archie will always be much-loved family members. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
A group of New York City students have filed a lawsuit accusing the school district of perpetuating racism through what they're calling a flawed admissions process for selective programs they claim favors white students. A spokesman for the city's education department says the de Blasio administration has taken steps to achieve racial equity, but the lawsuit says it doesn't go far enough. Louisiana will get federal help after last month's devastating winter storm.
The White House says President Biden is declaring a major disaster for several Louisiana parishes affected by winter storms in the middle of February. The declaration means residents could be eligible for disaster assistance in the form of grants, loans, and tax breaks aimed at paying for temporary housing or covering uninsured losses to homes and businesses. Town, county, and tribal governments can also receive help in the form of federal funds for repairing or rebuilding infrastructure. A
prison rights group protests the treatment of supervillains in the nation's magnetic detainment cubes. A local dad thought he could make it out of a zoo without buying his kids light-up and a pigeon wishes just once it could complete a head movement smoothly. This is the Onion Week in Review. Millions of frustrated Americans across the country asked this week why the nation's struggling mental health system couldn't just get it together and stop feeling sorry for itself. Exasperated citizens told reporters that they had lost all patience with the ailing network's failure to perform basic tasks, such as routine mental health evaluations and emergency counseling.
Look, I get it. Everyone goes through a rough patch. Just look at the education system. I know times are tough, but things are never going to improve unless the system decides it wants to get better.
In other news, a new study finds that more men are opting to be in the room when their wife conceives their baby. An area man is unaware all of his friends think of him when they want to put things into perspective, and 36 chemical and emotional responses are activated by the phrase pigs in a blanket.
This is the Onion News Network.
This is the Onion Week in Review, pushed to the breaking point after constantly being taken to task without ever hearing a word of thanks for what it does around here. An overwhelmed and infuriated nation announced Wednesday that it was trying, okay? Jesus Christ. A poll of the American populace revealed that 33% felt they were doing pretty damned well, all things considered, while another 28% just wanted 2 measly minutes without somebody breathing down their damn neck. A group of female friends spent a raucous night on the town Thursday validating the living shit out of each other.
You're the most talented person I know.
Eyewitness reports say the women absolutely went to town on a session of non-judgmental reassurances.
Last night was crazy. I don't even remember half the uplifting things I said to Karen. We've always been the kind of group that listens hard and consoles even harder.
And in other news, a group of semester at sea students steal an anchor for their dorm room. A 5-year-old wants to be an overworked Haitian nanny when he grows up, and every group of friends at a karaoke bar ruins every other group's night.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Final hour here, but you're welcome to join us. 603-283-6160. That's the call-in line. You can call in and talk about whatever you want. 603-283-6160. With you tonight, it's Arya, Ian, and Conan. And there's a new report out. Who exactly does these reports?
Well, there's a bunch of different organizations out there, or at least a handful of them. This one is the Heritage Foundation in this particular case. And the index in this case is the Index of Economic Freedom. There's also another one that's done by the Fraser Institute, which is a Canadian organization. And then there's the Free the World, which I don't know if that's Fraser related. And then there's also Freedom in the 50 States. So there's some global ones, and then there's some that focus on North America.
Are these people who are actually about freedom, or do they mean freedom in the sense of, oh, you need a democracy and a tightly controlled fascist state that's telling businesses what they can and can't do?
The Heritage Foundation tends to be a kind of conservative organization from what I understand about them. In this case, they're only looking at economic freedom. So, freedom, social freedoms are generally not factored particularly into these. From what I understand, I have not looked at the details on how exactly these numbers are coordinated.
Well, in a free society, one would go with the other. You would have social freedoms if that's what people wanted and voted with their wallets.
No doubt about it. The index in this case does evaluate 4 broad policy areas that affect economic freedom: the rule of law, government size, regulatory efficiency, and open markets. There are 12 specific categories, including property rights, judicial effectiveness, government integrity. That's a oxymoron. The tax burden, government spending, fiscal health, business freedom, labor freedom, monetary freedom, trade freedom, investment freedom, and financial freedom. So basically, the fewer regulatory strictures there are, the higher your index of economic freedom will likely be.
Okay.
And the more corruption in the judicial branch, the worse property rights. So these are the things that they're looking at here.
Okay. And so the United States is doing worse than ever at any point in its history.
At least at any point in the history of the study. So the study has not gone on for all of history as far as the U.S. Is concerned. But however long they've been doing these studies, and we've been talking about them for years here on Free Talk Live. So I think it's been at least most of the last 2 decades, maybe beyond that. But here's the Heritage press release from heritage.org. Global economic freedom remained at a record high of 61.6 for the second year in a row. That's just out of a potential score of 100, by the way. So record high is an F rating when you look at the
it's
A, B,
about
C, D,
half
E, F.
free.
Yeah. The Heritage Foundation's Economic Freedom Index for 2021. Now, the time frames that they're looking at here includes the last half of 2019 and the first half of 2020. So within the first...
It includes some of the COVID lockdowns.
So that would include like about 3 months, right? So how much of that's really going to be included as far as is it going to really affect the numbers if it's just a few months? I don't know. They don't really talk a whole lot about COVID restrictions at all here in this little intro that they're doing. So they just mention it sort of later on. Anyway, we'll get to that. Despite the uncertainty of a global pandemic, Singapore remained in the top spot as the world's most free economy. Now, interestingly, Hong Kong is not on this list because Hong Kong for a long time dominated the top of these lists, and I'm pretty sure it used to be on the Heritage list, so I'm not sure at what year they took Hong Kong off the list. Oh, actually, they addressed that coming up here. So Singapore...
Do they consider it part of China now?
They got to, right?
I think so. So Singapore remained in the top spot, while the U.S. recorded its worst score and ranking ever, a result of out-of-control spending and a loss of confidence by Americans in the even-handed rule of law. Hong Kong and Macau were not ranked in the 2021 index, partly a consequence of Beijing's growing control over the city's economy. So it used to be that Hong Kong was the number one most free economic place, and they've taken them off the list entirely at this point.
Conan, I assumed you left about Singapore because of its draconian
Correct.
laws.
I mean,
otherwise.
this might be economic freedom, but I want to see something similar that with you talking about personal freedom, individual freedom.
In Singapore, you'll go to prison if you criticize Islam on YouTube.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Because guess who number 2 is? New Zealand. And if you look at the way they're handling this COVID nonsense, they are not free. That whole damn place is locked down. They'll throw you in jail in a heartbeat if you question anything. These guys putting the signs up, the stickers that we talked about early in the show, they probably would have been beat down by the cops if they were in New Zealand. Beat down.
Well, they were in
down.
Manchester, so I'm still kind of surprised that didn't happen.
Australia's on here. Ireland's on here.
Well,
there's no free place.
It's relative, right?
Yeah.
If you take all of the nations on the earth and you put them in an order, there is going to be some sort of... One of them is going to be the freest place. That doesn't mean that place is necessarily free.
Right. Yeah. It's like comparing cancer. I mean, New Hampshire is ostensibly the freest of the states, depending on which list you look at. Sometimes it's Florida, sometimes it's New Hampshire. But, it's still not a free place. I mean, we just had guys getting arrested for stickering.
Yeah.
So
far, we're the only place in the world, I believe, that's happened. Go New Hampshire.
I don't know why, but there's just not a lot out there as far as a social freedom ranking. There used to be freetheworld.org, but I don't know if that just got gobbled up by the Fraser Institute or what happened to it. Right now, Fraser Institute is ranking New Hampshire as the most economically free in North America as of their 2018 numbers. But again, none of this really factors in COVID yet. We're not going to see that for some time. Fraser Institute ranks Singapore at number 2 underneath Hong Kong for their 2018 numbers. But most notably, it's the United States that's dropping. So, the U.S. recorded a score of 74.8, which is lower than its 2020 score, and dropped to number 20 globally from number 17 the year prior. The U.S. remains mostly free, and its regional ranking is unchanged at 3rd out of 32 countries that were graded in the Americas region, behind Canada and Chile. So even in the Americas, the United States is not the most free economically. Now we know...
Well, Canada has legalized prostitution.
It
so
does.
It's automatically freer than the United States, which chooses for some draconian reason to regulate that.
But Canada has also had much worse crackdowns on COVID than the United States.
They're quarantining when you get off the plane now.
Yeah.
So and that's what I'm
if you
saying.
take a private plane?
That's what I'm saying. This is just economic freedom. I really want to see this. I want to see the social freedom list.
I don't think there is one.
If there is one that even exists, or even a combination of all this to get an idea of what's going on. Because
how would you rate social freedoms?
Freedom of speech. Whether they're whether they're arresting you because you put stickers on the city hall or not. Whether certain things are legal, like certain drugs and or prostitution, and all that.
Okay.
I think this list probably exists, but it's probably not.
You could have done this in your off time over the last several months.
Yes, exactly. I could have. No, I couldn't have. I don't know. I don't know any of these states.
There was a human freedom index, but I can't find it at the moment.
So anyways, it looks like the one that has been hit the most is fiscal health.
You mean in the United States?
In the United States.
Well, that's not surprising at all.
A lot of these are up in the 80s, the 80 percentile.
Mm-hmm.
But fiscal health is at 34.9.
Oof. Now, what does that mean? That means like the amount of debt in the country, basically?
It's got to be. I'm going to try to scroll down and figure out.
That's been rocketing upwards, so it would make sense that's taken a big
Well, isn't it like
downturn.
half of Americans live paycheck to paycheck or something like that? I don't recall.
Well, I don't know if they're talking
number.
about individual. I think they're talking about the state, would be my guess. But that's just a guess when they're talking about fiscal health. But you're right. Americans themselves are not fiscally healthy either.
So fiscal health is in the government size category. The top individual income tax rate is 37%, and the top corporate tax rate is 21%. The overall tax burden equals 24. Government spending has amounted to 35.5% of total output GDP over the past 3 years, and budget deficits have averaged 5.3% of GDP. Public debt is equivalent to 109% of GDP.
That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Conan, I believe I found what you were asking about from worldpopulationreview.com. The freest countries, it has a personal freedom index, an economic freedom index, and a human freedom index.
And what year is this?
2021 is what it says. Well, it's...
Don't spoil it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to actually look at it before I can spoil it.
We're not good, I'm presuming.
We're doing okay. I mean,
but the U.S.
from
is
this
never on the
cursory
top.
glance, I didn't prepare to do this, so don't ask me what any of this is saying. I mean, if I was good at my job, I would have prepared.
We'll figure it out.
This is Free Talk Live.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
This is novelist Tom Robbins. When my mother was diagnosed with glaucoma, her conservative Virginia physician told her there was only one treatment that might ease her pain and save her eyesight. That treatment was medical marijuana, which he could not prescribe. I offered to get her some and teach her how to use it effectively, but my father objected because marijuana was against the law. So my mother, who loved to read and walk in nature, was condemned to grow cruelly, unnecessarily blind. Tragedies like this happen all the time, but they don't have to keep happening. To learn more about medical marijuana, call the Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or visit them on the web at mpp.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. You can call in and talk about whatever you want. 603-283-6160. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian.
And Conan.
And what is freedom exactly? I feel like that's something worth mentioning, because as being able to just walk into any store and buy anything you want doesn't necessarily mean that you're free. It just means you can walk into a store and buy anything you want. So economic freedom, as Conan points out, it only tells part of the story about whether or not people are free. There's also what at least World Population Review is calling personal freedom. And they say it is the freedom of an individual to have freedom of opinion and expression, equality before the courts, security of private property, and freedom to come and go.
Okay, those are pretty good.
It also gives a human freedom index, and they got this from another country, someone else compiled it. But essentially what it means is individuals' dignity being considered inherently valuable, because that plays a vital role in human progress. So I'm not 100% clear on what they mean by, quote, human freedom.
Well, Cato is apparently still doing their Human Freedom Index. So there was one for 2020. I will try to pull that up here.
Yeah, they've got, they rate rule of law, security and safety, movement, religion, association, identity and relationships. They also includes the size of government.
But in looking at these breakdowns, World Population Review has each category, personal freedom rank, economic freedom rank, and human freedom. The United States isn't particularly noteworthy in any of them. The best it ever achieves at any point is, I've already lost it. Oh, I got it backwards, is economic freedom, where it's ranked 5th behind Hong Kong, Singapore, New Zealand, and Switzerland. In terms of personal freedom and human freedom, it's not even in the top 30.
I bet, the part of the problem is the country's too big. There's just too many different states, too many different governors, and people doing their own thing, and they're just It's like gun violence. When you actually look at where it's actually taking place in this country, it's not really prevalent like the left likes to claim that it is. It's really only happening in a couple places. New York, Chicago. It's it. Everywhere else, we're like, yeah, we want our guns and we're taken care of and we're not hurting anybody.
Interesting. Some countries that you wouldn't expect to rank above the United States are doing so. Lithuania, Slovenia, South Korea, all of these personal freedom rankings, and they're beating the United States. Taiwan, Portugal, Estonia, Belgium, Iceland. Apparently the United States just isn't that free of a place, but that's not surprising, and we knew that.
So according to the Cato Institute, which, as you know, is a fairly libertarian think tank in the United States, they have done the Human Freedom Index, which looks at it's got 3 columns when you look at the chart. There's personal freedom, there's economic freedom, and then there's human freedom. So that's, I presume, the average of the two, or some sort of summation of the two. And so this is ranked by the human freedom. So the rankings by human freedom, but then you can sort of look to the left and see what their score was on personal and economic. So number 1, most free, according to this. Now, this is the 2020 index So it's likely using numbers from 2019 would be my guess. New Zealand at number 1 with 8.87 out of a possible 10. Then
sounds pretty free.
Switzerland with an 8.82, Hong Kong. After that, Denmark, Australia, Canada, Ireland, Estonia, Germany, Sweden, Finland, Japan, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Austria, Norway, the United Kingdom, and finally at number 17, tied with the United Kingdom, the United States.
No, I got to dispute whatever crazy rankings they're using. The United States is significantly freer than the United Kingdom.
Well, according to these numbers
for
here,
no other reason than that we're allowed to have guns.
And by the way, those numbers, those countries were very similar to the economic chart that we went over before this. Very, very similar.
But Singapore was not in there.
Except the fact,
Singapore is down at number 28.
That makes more sense as far as personal freedom is concerned.
Yeah, and by the way, Singapore's personal freedom is, remember, this list takes human freedom. So it's averaging economic freedom with personal freedom. When you look at personal freedom, Singapore's
60
in the 7.77 range. I don't know what ranking that would be because I can't. I'm looking at a PDF, so I can't click to rank these. But so Singapore down there. United States got an 8.66 score on its personal freedom chart, which puts it below the UK. The UK at 8.79. The US did score higher than the UK on economic freedom with an 8.22 compared to an 8.08 in the UK. I mean, they looked at a bunch of different factors. You can disagree if you want to, but that's a human freedom score.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that if they factored in the ability to own guns and defend yourselves.
I would think Cato would have that in there somewhere.
Well, they mentioned freedom of expression and freedom of religion and all that other stuff, but
freedom to defend yourself.
They notably did not mention that.
UK and Australia, New Zealand are out the window when it comes to that.
No doubt. Well,
those types of freedoms.
Almost everywhere is out the window except for the United States. There's very few places where gun ownership is actually legal. The Human Freedom Index presents a broad measure of human freedom understood as the absence of coercive restraint. This 6th annual index uses 76 distinct indicators of personal and economic freedom in the following areas: rule of law, security and safety, which I presume would be gun freedom would be under that, movement, religion, association, assembly, and civil society, expression and information, identity and relationships, size of government, legal system and property rights, access to sound money, freedom to trade internationally, regulation of credit, labor, and business. These are the areas that they looked at.
And the United States
was number 17 on that list
2 years ago.
This is the 2020 release. So
what do they consider to be sound money? Do they consider the USD to be sound money?
Cato, I can't imagine they would consider that to be sound money.
I certainly don't, but
it says access to sound money. That doesn't mean that the government would be creating sound money. That just means that you're not prohibited from having gold. You're not prohibited from having cryptocurrency.
The most sound money I can think of at the moment, if it still qualifies as money, I'm going to just, for the sake of the segue, I'm going to say it does. Bitcoin is perpetually in the news. Of course, it's down right now. It dropped maybe $5, $6, maybe up to $1,000. I don't know. I haven't looked in the last few minutes. But the 2021 returns, according to Goldman Sachs, could destroy everything on Wall Street. This is coming from Yahoo.com's finance section. Goldman Sachs didn't start including Bitcoin in its weekly ranking of global asset class returns until late January, when the largest cryptocurrency quietly appeared atop the chart. But since then, Bitcoin's lead over assets from stocks to bonds, oil, banks, gold, and tech stocks, and the euro has widened.
By the way, Bitcoin worth more than Goldman Sachs.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. It's been that way for months now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming close to, I think, MasterCard?
It knocked down Tesla recently. And it's in the top 5 of all U.S. corporations, even though Bitcoin's not a corporation, just comparing the market caps.
But since then, that's since January, Bitcoin's lead over asset. Oh, I said that. As of March the 4th, Bitcoin's year-to-date return at about 70% was roughly double that for the next closest competitor, which was the energy sector. The comparisons could become even more flattering to Bitcoin now that a recent bout of selling in U.S. stocks has taken the S&P's 500 index to return to roughly zero, flat for the year. More about Bitcoin. Miami evidently looking to pay people, and Yellen says that this is not energy efficient. 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Karl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160 is the calling line. You can still get on the air with us at 603-283-6160. With you tonight is Aria, Conan, and Ian. And I want to say thank you to Ukraine79, who is tonight's amplifier. This means he's a member of the AMP program. You can find out more about it at amp.freetalklive.com. It stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote, because joining the program, contributing to it, helps us advertise, market, and promote Free Talk Live to get us on more radio stations, to get us more podcast downloads, all of that awesome stuff. It's the best way to help us do that. Ukraine 79, thank you so much. It only costs $5 per month to become an amplifier, and it comes with a number of cool little features, like an AMP-only group on the Matrix server, which you can also find at chat.freetalklive.com. But check it out. It's amp.freetalklive.com. You can use USD if you want, or you can use a better currency like Bitcoin. And if you really want to, you can email one of us, and presumably Ian, and use Bitcoin Cash or probably Monero or whatever. But check it out, amp.freetalklive.com. Ukraine 79, thank you so much for your contributions. We hope you continue listening and enjoying the show. But speaking of money, Venezuela is evidently introducing a new $1 million note.
1 million bolivar.
Yeah, I always call it dollar for whatever reason. What is the highest denomination of USD? It's the 100, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That'll change at some point in the near future.
Well, a 1 million bolivar bill, just to give you some sort of perspective here, right now on the black market in Venezuela, according to dollartoday.com, you will need 1.8 million and change, 1.87 million bolivar to purchase a dollar.
Jesus Christ, that's inflated to insane degrees.
Yes, so the newest bill that is being put out by the Venezuelan government of 1 million bolivar is worth just over 50 cents. Okay.
Now, this is not the first time that the Venezuelan bolivar has gotten to this point.
No, it's not. Well, I don't think they've had bills this large before, but let's get some detail here from Bloomberg, reporting that Venezuela said it will introduce new large denomination bolivar notes as hyperinflation renders most bills worthless, forcing citizens to turn to the U.S. dollar for everyday transactions, which has been going on now for well over a year, where the government of Venezuela has quietly been allowing people to use the dollar.
So how many bolivars does a loaf of bread cost? Assuming you can find a loaf of bread.
Right. Assuming you can find a loaf of bread, and assuming that it's relatively close to what you would get it for in the United States, which are two unfair assumptions. You're looking at 12 million bolivar or something like that. I mean, I'm just doing it off the top of my head.
Can you imagine carrying around that stack of paper? Because that's what they have to do without this $1 million note. If they need to buy something that's, 12 million bolivar or whatever, like a loaf of bread, they have to have 12,000, $1,000 notes.
They would, in that particular case.
Carrying a stack of 12,000 notes into a store here. That's for one loaf of bread.
Remember, one of the reasons that they cut the 5 zeros off the bills back in 2018 when they redenominated the bolivar from the bolivar fuerte or the strong bolivar to the bolivar soberano or the sovereign bolivar was because the numbers at the retail checkouts were getting so large. This is one of the reasons. They were getting so large, the little pin pad that they do your credit card info on, where you type in the amount on the pin pad. There weren't enough digits on the pin pads anymore to be able to actually handle the total amounts of the sales. So it was actually hindering anything from actually happening because you couldn't use a credit card because, like you said, Arya, who wants to carry around stacks and stacks of cash to buy their groceries when you could use a debit card or something like that? Well, if the machines can't take 16 digits, because, how many credit card companies went to, designed their equipment thinking that they were going to need to put 16 digits or whatever, or however many 12 digits or whatever in for a typical sale? Those aren't designed for that. So they knocked 5 zeros off 2 years ago, and now already they're back with million bolivar notes.
I do have some perspective here, but it's from 2018, so it's a little dated at this point. But in 2018, a packet of corn flour, the most basic ingredient for making these corn cakes that are a part of the Venezuelan diet, cost 80,000 bolivars.
But and what was that in dollars?
$1.60.
Okay.
So whatever that comes out to now, and that's for one packet of corn flour. 80,000 bolivars in cash.
That would now be the equivalent of 3 million bolivar.
For a packet of corn flour.
That's right. That's
absolutely
in 2 years.
Ravaged economy in less than 2 years.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I did find a very interesting food prices list, and it does convert from USD to Bolivar is VES. I guess that's for Venezuela.
But are they converting with the official rate, or are they converting with the black market rate? Because the numbers I'm giving you are the black market numbers, not the official numbers, which are set by the government and are incredibly dishonest.
And this if you can find what you want to buy in the first place. A kilo of rice, they say, can cost you 220,000 bolivars. And again, this from 2018. And finding a toilet paper roll at a retail store may take up to 7 days.
Venezuela introducing, according to a new statement on its website, they'll begin circulating the new, not just million bolivars, but also they're adding 200,000 and 500,000 bolivar bills. So 3 new increments or 3 new denominations to, quote, fulfill the country's economic requirements or the current economy's requirements without providing further details. The 1 million bolivar note, the largest in the nation's history, is worth about 53 cents. As Venezuela's economy shrank for a 7th straight year in 2020, and it had to be even worse than any before, because not only were they hyperinflating the currency still, but also you had the COVID restrictions coming into place, which most undoubtedly made things even worse.
I don't understand why this is happening. Venezuela has done this repeatedly.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How could they possibly make this same mistake again?
You mean the people of Venezuela to keep accepting this?
Yeah, any of them.
Yeah. Well, some people
How could they have the wool pulled over their eyes this many times?
Well, I mean, some people, they know this is bad, and, well, they've protested over it. So what else are they supposed to do? I mean, I guess they could go
burn
and
Chavez's house down?
They
It's not
could go
Chavez
and attack
anymore, is it?
Nah, he died.
It's Maduro.
It's Maduro. It's just his successor. Was his right-hand man.
Burn his house down.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not generally a fan of violence, but this guy is killing you.
No doubt about it. But, would that actually change anything? That's another question. As Venezuela's economy shrank for the 7th straight year, the government turned a blind eye to the growing number of dollar transactions, kickstarted by rolling power outages that prevented credit and debit card purchases and fostered the use of cash. About 66% of transactions across the country are estimated to be made in foreign currency now, according to Ecoanalítica. While the dollar has gained ground, Venezuelans continue to rely on bolivar bills for public transportation and to purchase subsidized fuel. The Caracas subway recently issued an electronic payment system after it routinely stopped charging passengers due to cash shortages. President Nicolas Maduro said he plans to move to a fully digital economy this year. You believe that one?
Oh, that's right. They created the Petro,
right.
Didn't they?
They
their
did.
own, quote, cryptocurrency.
Ari, in answer to your question, have you never been to bad parts of town where it's just everything is run down and every windows are boarded up and there's broken glass out in the streets?
Sewage.
And people are drinking. These places exist in this country.
Not in Keene.
I mean, sometimes they're in the cities, sometimes they're out in the woods.
Look,
where you got
I've
people
seen some
living
ghettos in the deep south. There is nowhere in the United States where people are drinking sewage. I don't know how to tell you that.
Yeah,
but those places don't exist here.
Are they actually drinking sewage in Venezuela, or is it just water that is questionable?
It's tainted water. I wouldn't say it's questionable. There's definitely some.
I mean, have you never gotten an email from your water company saying, "Hey,
it's
look,
not like that."
No, this was them taking water that was coming out of a sewer drain and having to drink it, presumably filtering it.
Well, it's what we're drinking, except it's just been filtered and sanitized.
It's not being filtered in some
which is
cases.
why whenever we have floods in this country, they always like boil warning.
Yeah, I don't think you have any idea what's happening in Venezuela. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. This is Free Talk Live.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Because we are smothering in spam, please do not reply to all when you can instead reply. I was recently among over 100 invited to a corporate reunion. It's always a warm affair, and that's the problem. Enthusiasm for our upcoming get-together caused many recipients to RSVP the organizer with a cheery reply to all. I can't wait. Then others piled on with a reply to all to that. Then the "I'm out of my office now" autoresponders joined in. So I replied to all, asking that we all reply only to the organizer. Hey, at least I tried. One invitee, apparently retired, shot back, "Point taken, but I really like seeing the responses since they're so positive." Smiley face. This better be an open bar. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live with Conan, Ian, and Aria tonight. And you're right. It doesn't say they were actually drinking sewage. They were drinking sewer water in Venezuela, as it turns out.
Totally fine.
And they were probably boiling it too. Which you can't say has never happened in this country. People boiling nasty, murky water.
No, it's happening in Flint, Michigan right now.
Correct.
Still. Ongoing.
And that's all I'm really getting
but
at.
That's a fault of the government as well.
I think what you mentioned earlier was, how do these people put up with this?
Yeah, I want to know how the people in Flint put up with it. How
come
they haven't started guillotining people?
Exactly. And what I'm saying is there are places all over this country where people have become so dependent on government and so useless in their own lives, and they just expect everything to be done for them. There are plenty of people on this and so covering this planet who have become so dependent on government to take care of them that they can't get out of it. They cannot dig themselves out of it because they don't know any other way because they were born in it. They were born into this. Mm-hmm. And Venezuela is a prime example.
This is why you don't feed the wildlife.
Exactly. Venezuela is a prime example with their oil, and everything was being taken care of. All their socialist programs were being taken care of. All the oil money, which they still have, by the way, which is sad. They have all that oil, except I think the oil companies are in cahoots with each other, and they're basically blackballing Venezuela because they want the cheap oil. They want to drive them into non-existence for the cheap oil.
Well, that's not the oil companies aren't doing any damage to Venezuela. It's all being internally done. I mean, the government there is terrible. They're hyperinflating the currency, as we were just reporting with the new 1 million Bolivar notes, which are worth about 53 cents. So, and that's just barely going to cover the next week. I mean, the inflation there has been insane.
Yeah, as of this article that I was just looking at and that I actually clicked off of, it was 42,000% in 2018. That's an insane amount of inflation. I wonder what the United States inflation rate was for the real inflation rate for 2020.
Hard to say.
Well, I know they printed an awful lot of money in 2020.
20% of the entire U.S. money supply was printed in 2020.
Yep.
As I understand it, that means the inflation rate was likely at least around 20%. But I don't know exactly how all of that works out.
Well, all you really have to do is look at all of, not just Bitcoin, but just basically cryptocurrencies in general, and look at how much they've gone up. And a lot of people are like, well, yeah, they're becoming more popular and this and that. No. What the truth of the matter is, your USD, your dollar, is failed so miserably that it's just proven.
It's both. I mean, Bitcoin is becoming more and more popular, and that is driving up the cost of it.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's being bought tremendously in Venezuela, by the way.
Yeah,
that makes nothing but sense for the people who have people who, because I believe a lot of the Venezuela is suffering brain drain. They've lost a lot of the people who probably could have helped the situation.
Right. If you've got enough money,
they left years ago.
Right. If you got enough money and you can afford to get your family out, you get them out.
This is the same problem with the urban cities. Chicago is a prime example. You have a lot of individuals who've become dependent on government who can't get out, and they don't understand how to get out. They don't understand that you can go live in the country, or you can go to another city, or what you can go to Texas. Yeah, that's a great idea. They just, for whatever reason, they can't get off the couch. They can't get off of their butts and make changes.
Well, in the United States, people are so comfortable, they have no reason to get off the couch, right? Like, there's something on TV they can be watching, and whether it's their sports or their favorite shows or, playing the latest video games, they're very distracted. Whereas in Venezuela, they're constantly off their couch because they're going to try to get food. Because trying to get water.
They burned their couch last week in order to
well, it's warm there, so they don't have to stay warm.
Well, no, they were boiling the water.
Oh, to boil water.
The sewer water. So they burned the couch.
Well, right. There's power outages, so you wouldn't be able to actually use electricity to boil the water. There's constant, blackouts and brownouts in places like in Venezuela. Yeah. But there's an interesting aside here. This story from Bloomberg. Venezuela's government is planning to move to a fully digital economy. Now, this is what people have been predicting in the United States for a long time. A lot of the conspiracy theory people that cash was going to go away.
Yeah, Christians have been talking about it my entire life. And I've got to say, at this point, I've got to give the point to the Christians.
They've been working towards this for a long time, and Venezuela apparently is planning to lead the way. According to the story, the dollar has operated as an escape valve for Venezuela amid U.S. sanctions and collapsing oil revenues, and I'll add socialism, which is the main problem. President Nicolas Maduro said in a televised interview with Telesur on Friday, he said 18.6% of all commercial transactions are in dollars. I don't think that's true. It's probably closer to half. While 77% are carried out in bolivars with debit cards, only 3.4% are paid with bolivar notes. He said, quote, they have a war against our physical currency. He's blaming other countries. He's blaming the United States for their currency woes. He says, we are moving this year to a more profound digital economy in expansion. I've set the goal in an economy that's 100% digital, he said, adding that physical money will eventually disappear.
It sounds like he's waging war on their physical money.
Yes, that's exactly right.
He's the one eliminating it.
Yeah, well, there's one thing about digital money is that whoever printed it, whoever created it, in this case, Maduro and his government have absolute control over it. This is
right.
This is the whole Great Reset thing taking place right now.
Not necessarily. I mean, someone could create a digital currency and then let it loose into the wild.
Well, that's what Bitcoin is.
That's what Bitcoin is.
Yes.
Thank you, Thank you, Guy.
And that is their escape valve in Venezuela and everywhere from bad
creator
money.
of Bitcoin. I forgot his name. I was going to
Satoshi Nakamoto.
Satoshi
or her.
It could be.
It could be her. It could be a group of people.
It could be aliens. You know,
could be the
Elon
CIA.
Musk. Could be Elon Musk.
Elon Musk is definitely not.
He's not a programmer, right? He's just an engineer.
He paid someone to do it. Who knows?
I doubt it. If so, he's late to the party, or at least appearing to be late to the party. So
I would too if I was Satoshi Nakamoto, though.
There's something else going on here, and I don't think that this story is going to mention it, but we've been watching what's been going on in Venezuela for a little while. And if you remember, there was a story a few years ago, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago now, that Venezuela could not pay its printer to print money.
Oh, yes. Didn't they set up something with a French organization?
I don't know how they ended up paying their bill. They had a debt to a company called, I think it was, I'm forgetting the name. It was like this real froofy sounding
I remember when we talked
company.
about this, though. It wasn't the last time we talked about Venezuela. We got into this a bit.
Yeah, so they have this private company that does the money printing of the Bolivar. So it's not their own central bank that does it. The central bank actually hires LaRue, I think was what it was called. Or De La Rue or something like that. I think it was La Rue something. Anyway, they're like the world's largest or one of the top private money printers out there. And
Spawns of the devil.
Yep.
Yeah. Was it La Rue?
No, they're bankers. Bankers are spawns of the devil. Yes.
Well, these people aren't even bankers. They're just taking money, USD presumably, or Bitcoin or something.
Euros.
From Venezuela, and they're turning around and giving them useless Bolivar so they can further screw over the Venezuelan people. They're accomplices in this evil atrocity.
They absolutely are. But they basically had told Venezuela's government, we're cutting you off. Look, you owe us real money for this fake stuff, or what they consider to be real money, right? Like the better government money.
You owe us useful money.
The better government money.
So the paper supplier was De La Rue.
De La Rue. Not just paper, but they do the printing. They do it all. And then they send the money to Venezuela, and Venezuela's supposed to pay their bill. So at some point they must have paid their bill because they still are making money, right? Like they're still creating money, and they aren't doing it themselves. So if he does get rid of cash and goes to a digital-only Bolivar, that just means they don't have to pay the printers anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He can then just keep on inflating at whatever rate he wants to inflate, and it doesn't matter anymore because everything goes digital. They can chop off another 5 or 8 zeros from the end. That's probably what they'll do. They'll probably create a new Bolivar. When all this is done, it'll only have been 2 years since they knocked 5 zeros off, or 3 years since they knocked 5 zeros off.
But that's exactly what our Federal Reserve is doing as we speak.
They
right
haven't
now.
knocked any zeros off here in the United States yet, but ultimately, this is going to save Maduro money, and it'll give him total control. And he knows that people will still use dollars for cash transactions. So cash transactions aren't going away. They are going to continue in Venezuela, and the Venezuelan government's going to look the other way about it, just like they've been doing for the last year, and they just won't have to pay De La Rue or whatever to manufacture their money.
You're right. The federal government or the U.S. Treasury or the Federal Reserve Bank has not knocked any zeros off of the currency. But if people really want to understand how broke the United States is, it's that your copper penny contains no copper. It's
and it also
zinc.
Costs more money.
And it costs
than a penny.
it costs like 10 cents to print a penny.
Yeah, that's how broke the United States is. That's how worthless your money is. It's been Free Talk Live. Head on over to social.freetalklive if you want to hear from us, or if you want to sit down and have a chat with us. Chat.freetalklive.com will let you do that.
Again, or just call tomorrow.
Or just, even better. Or call tomorrow. But in the meantime, we'll be there. Chat.freetalklive.com.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need. A WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking